What's up, Derp64? Number one, quite literally. No one can take that from you. I think my mic is coming through. I gotta go to the bathroom, but I think my mic is going through. I hope one day they release a mod that makes poison armor stronger in DS2. Ah. Yeah. I guess I'm not a poise expert. I don't really, yeah. I feel like armor's pretty okay. That's my input on that video. I guess it could be stronger. I guess I never felt that it was like overly super Mondo weak, but I actually am wearing really fat armor right now. This is the character I started. Oh, am I a magic guy? I have like 18 characters. Only 10 actually, because they're not eligible to make more than that, which I think is weird. Yeah, let me go piss. Then I'll be back. What's up, Solar? If I said that wrong, that's my bad. I'm terrible at pronouncing things, but... Ooh, is that a Kratos profile picture? That looks cool. Shout out to Kratos. Big fan. More of the original trilogy, if anything. I have yet to play 2018 and then Ragnarok, but I know those are fantastic. I think the gameplay style is just... doesn't seem to be as much my bag, but I have seen playthroughs of them already. And the storytelling was really cool. And set pieces and the writing and... Oh, I didn't? Oh, cool. Yeah, honestly, yeah, when are they gonna like officially remaster the original trilogy, right? Like 3, I don't think really needs it. I think 3 already looks like awesome. You know, like up-res it. Well, I mean, they already, I guess, kind of ish did that, but I think if they did like an official, like maybe like a remake of 1 and 2. 3, you don't need to remake. But that would just be, I don't know, I feel like that's a good idea. 1 and 2, you can see the grand ambitions they had, but they were limited by tech, right? Man, if you were able to remake those, you could just absolutely go ham on the environments. Yeah, I get the criticism that 2018 and Ragnarok are like, you know, quite a different Kratos, but I also think he's way older. I mean, he's a god, so like, whatever, but I never had much of an issue with that. I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a father-son story. Also, I promise I'm not gonna be talking this much during the actual stream. Just, you know, occasionally. But yeah, I don't know. I never had much of an issue with that, but I get it. There is, that's true. I have used PCSX2, whatever. It has really cool texture override settings, and then just the amount of, you know, modifications you can make is pretty cool. Goated emulator. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. So just go look at this dude in the Drangleic set. And he's a caster, so that's because I'm weak and I don't like getting hit. But really, I'm gonna see what I have in my inventory. I might just start a new character, and then because that's kind of what I just do to make this mod. I literally just keep playing the game over and over and over and over again, and I fix things as I go and find things that I missed or fix things that were fucked up by me. I found that to be the best method. It's just jump into it, and then I'll just find shit that I'm like, oop, don't like that. Whoop, don't like that. And there's been like 2 years of that. So. Ooh, we're both wearing the Drangleic set. Hell yeah. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So back. Yeah, you know what? I'll just start a new character. Why not? It's a new journey of modding. I need to figure some stuff out in things betwixt anyway, or betwixt. That's how I say it. Who do I delete? That's the real question. This guy, level 14. Also, I'm very good at naming characters. I either do not care at all, like my highest level character literally doesn't even have a name. I just typed in dog shit. Upscale, I don't know why I just called that upscale. I must have been, oh, I think that's when I started the newer version of this mod. Maybe. Anyway, sorry, upscale, you're gone. You're done for. Oh shit, actually, yes, we're gonna watch the cutscene because it's fucking awesome.
You've seen it. Maybe in a dream.
Oh, actually, let me take off the text. My bad, sorry.
Forgotten land.
Really? Why is Best Souls 2 so good? That's a great question. I don't think we have the technology to fully grasp how it's so cool. Oh, also, why is it black? Oh, I know why. As a DS2 lighting engine, I'm using a super beta build, testing build, and I don't think the cutscenes currently work. Maybe just the intro one. Okay, let me turn on. There's definitely something about this area that I haven't quite figured out, in that the shadow casting is interesting because we are getting the shadows here, but I actually think that's still somehow using the baked shadows, even though I have that disabled, which is weird. So we're going to investigate that for a second because okay, so it is using. Let me turn on the highlight selection for all the peeps. This is really just like making a video. I just yap, so I'll just yap. Yeah, so we have one of the pillars here, and we do have the tessellation turned on for it because DS2 lighting engine is really cool with that. You can just override the parameters, and then you can say, hey, I would like you to use tessellation, and then you can control how much, right? So if we disable it, you can see it basically just becomes a little bit less geometric, or not as smooth, right? I mean, that's essentially Bezier curve, yeah. And then you can set the distance as well. So basically from farther away, it will enable itself, which is an optimization, of course. But weirdly, I'm pretty sure that's... Yeah, shadows from scene, that doesn't really change anything. So now in the shadow map, we have the shadows just added to it, which is fine, but if we delete that, nothing happens. So what's happening, I think... Oh, interesting. Why was I using tessellation on this bottom bed? Oh, okay. No. I think I got it. So I was using it on the side here. And this is something you'll run into with the way that adding tessellation works in DS2 lighting engine, because the way that it picks up on the meshes, like this, and this could all be one map piece, but the way that they ended up breaking down is by like the surface identifier. So you end up getting, you know, separate pieces. And if you do tessellation on each one of them with the same settings, you can generally get it to work without having giant mesh holes, but it's not always something that works. And then if you do an override like this, basically it disables the... Oh, yeah, okay. So actually, we might have a fun thing to do here, and this is going to seem kind of crazy, but just stick with me for a second. So this is an issue with Dark Souls 2 on certain surfaces. where this ground surface does not have a normal map. It doesn't have a specular map. It quite literally only has an albedo, which is just the color texture, the diffuse texture, right? But it actually has no depth information. There's nothing. It's literally just an albedo, and that sucks because you're missing out on parallax occlusion mapping. You're missing out on just basic depth from a normal map. Like, and you can do a roughness map on this inside the albedo, right? But the problem is, yeah, you can see as I turn on the roughness map, like that's cool because I made the roughness map to basically it's connected to these like stone or, you know, rocks or whatever, which is how it should be. But because it doesn't have a normal map, the roughness map can usually just look kind of weird. You're limited with what you can do with the roughness map. You have to keep it really, really low. Otherwise, it just ends up looking like cartoonish. How many languages do you speak? I speak one, and not terribly well. I learned, well, okay, I didn't learn. I took Spanish in high school, and let me tell you, I bombed out of that hard. So can we tell you the bugs we found while playing? Yeah, maybe not. To be honest, that would end up just, my focus would fly between different things. I don't know. I mean, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I guess if we're in an area where you have experienced a bug, like, that's fine. But most of them I know about, well, kind of not. I mean, I know about like the bigger ones, but there are small things that I'll just find over time. If it's a game-breaking bug, like you can't see shit and it's totally like, I think game-breaking, like, yeah, sure. But otherwise, I'll just be running down too many different separate things, and then I lose focus. So, what's up, Dr. Dude? Have a great stream. Thank you. Dr. Dude is way better at these games than I am. Not even close. Homie plays on a saxophone, and I play on a controller, and I don't terribly do that well. So, but yeah, so here's kind of the annoying thing. Certain surfaces that don't have a normal map, you can't tell it to use one. And that goes into a whole bunch of shader-related things. Lighting engine, realistically, this is something I need to DM the creator, Rage Vitamins, about, but his plate's pretty full. But I need to DM him about that and be like, hey, can we have an option to assign a normal map to a surface? Because there's a handful of surfaces in this game that they saved on texture memory by not having a normal map or a specular map. Like, presumably that's why they did it. It sucks, but it is what it is. So there is a workaround, and it's not great. But before we do that, I have noticed that it looks like the baked lighting is still being used. I've experienced this in Hyde's Tower of Flame and No Man's Wharf, where because in Lighting Engine, you actually can just go to the atmosphere settings here. And under shadow settings, you can actually tell it at the shader level to disable light map shadows. Now, that works for like 99% of cases, but there are edge cases where, for whatever reason, the light map just stays there. And it's still using like this giant shadow that's cast by this. This is a baked shadow. But I have found out how to stop that. So basically, you go down to the light map. So you're actually on this surface that's highlighted. But I turn off the highlighting because otherwise it like flashbangs you. Also, a reminder to anyone that's in chat, I'm actually committing myself to not read all of the messages. Like, because if I do that, I'm just never going to get any work done. So if you absolutely have a question or want my attention, it literally is super chats and Ko-Fi. Like, that's how it has to be. And I don't love that, but, you know, I think that's just honestly how it has to be, because otherwise my attention's just going to fly off and I'm never going to get anything done. And that's how all the prior streams, I mean, that's why I didn't want to mod on stream, because I just couldn't stay focused. So, but I will monetize the destruction of my social battery, if that makes sense. So, but I might read your chat. I can't say that's not going to happen, but there's just no guarantee because otherwise I'll just be doing that the whole stream. And so basically you find the light map here and we go into, I basically always have a window open, which is the texture override folder, which is part of DS2 Lighting Engine. That's where it stores all of the textures that we have overridden with either modified normal maps, which are what these are. Here's a light map that I modified. You have specular maps, albedo maps, basically everything. Everything is stored here. And then they actually have config files that save your settings. And this is what we're modifying here. And so basically, if we hit create light map override, this will turn green, telling you that it's been overridden. And you'll actually see that's the most recent thing that pops up because I have it sorted by date modified. And so here's the light map. This is what it looks like. And I found the definitive way of fixing them. Well, disabling them, because I don't want them. I just want to have fully dynamic so I can move the sun anywhere I want. That's the reason why you would use dynamic lighting. Actually, here in the light map, I believe right here is where the player starts. You can kind of see the top of whatever structure that we started with those pillars. And then here's like the shadow from the giant, whatever you would call those. Are they stalagmites? We want DS3 LE. Well, first of all, I don't make Dark Souls 3 lighting engine, so I can't really help you on that. So, you know, not sure what to do with that, but yeah, I think I understand that people might think that I do, but like, no, I do not. I do not work on the lighting engine, so all things take time, you know? And so basically what we're going to do is actually black out this texture. Which sounds crazy, but that is what we're going to do. And, oop, I forgot I had my opacity set down low. What a wild idea. You don't work on a mod on it? What? I gotta stop reading chat. Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know. I do work on mods, yes. BC3, because that's the format that the light maps are stored in. And I believe this should work. It may not have worked. Maybe. Oh yeah, let me click on this as well. And let's hit that. Light map. Yeah, I'm thinking this also has a light map problem. So let's hit that. And then let's do the same thing. I'm trying to remember if I kept it white or black. I tend to forget what I do if from like the last day, but I believe I just blacked it out. Oh, Photoshop. Big dog, Photoshop, come on. What's up, unknown? Okay, let's load that up again. Oh, they took away my brush because of course they did. Yoink. Opacity, 53%. Yes. Oop, I got the wrong color there. Okay, I thought it was gonna crash there for a second again. It hung. I was like, oh god, oh no, 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 no. Okay. Okay. I think. Okay. One thing I've been curious about. So let's see. Yeah, there's definitely something going on in this area with the sun shadows are actually not working. And I've known that for a while. I just... Okay. And it's set to the LE sun direction, because that's where you actually set here that where the actual sun is coming from. And I think I know the issues. Essentially, so first let's go into lighting settings, and then we will say that the sun disk is massive and light, and because I want to see where it's at in the world right now. Okay, so I can see that the sun exists, but I think I know what's happening. I believe it's getting blocked by the meshes here, which I don't want. I actually want the light to actually come out of this hole, which probably is not going to work, because this is actually an image that they placed here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, did that work? That did. All right, well, I'm getting the volumetric fog, but okay. Let's see. Okay, so that's not shadow casting. But this... Yeah, but the skybox should be. That's interesting. Yeah. We want that to be shadow casting. Okay, let me try moving the sun around again. Because I've only manually deleted the light maps off. Oh, yeah, actually, let me test something real quick. Also, I have stick drift. Second Xbox controller in a row that has already developed stick drift, so that's nice. Ooh, actually, hold on. Do we have it? No. This is actually an instance where you can see there are shadows being cast by the grass here. I mean, theoretically, but not... Oh man, I totally thought that guy was going to attack me there for a second. Okay, so that is actually... well, that was a shadow cast by something. Interesting. Let me pick that up again. Let me grab that. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, let me pick this one. Yeah, okay. If you heard that car, that's because that's an asshole. I'm 12 months behind on a video, but I can't wait to watch this back later. Dude, it's H Bomber Guy, everybody. The GOAT. What's up, man? I'm currently in Things Betwixt, and I've taken 2 steps, and I'm trying to understand the sun direction in Things Betwixt, because I actually want it to be the actual dynamic light coming through and not all just baked lighting, which actually looks fine, but I like to be able to edit the sun direction. And this has been one that's been kind of bugging me for a while, because of course the skybox, you know, is just images up here. So the actual sun is outside where this crag is. And I set it to not be shadow casting, but the light is still not coming through. But they usually just use like the light shafts, right? But I don't know. Part of me was like, can I make it better? Can I make it better? But if not, I will stick with the baked lighting in Things Betwixt, because honestly, it's a pretty iconic location, and I don't think that's too crazy. But I've always wanted the shadows off the grass to be a little bit better. Well, actually, by default, the grass does not have shadows, which always bugged me when I played Dark Souls 2. I was like, hey, there's all this cool grass. This is like the highest density of grass they ever put in this game, was in Things Betwixt. And then after that, it was fairly sparse, understandably, you know? But it is an interesting case where the shadow portion, because you'll see up here in the loaded levels for Lighting Engine, you basically have the standard one, and then there's a separate one that the creator of Lighting Engine made for most of the maps, called _shadow. You don't actually have to use the shadow one at all. You really don't. It's, at first when I saw the name, I was like, oh, that's where I should put all the shadow casting shit. No, you actually don't have to. You can just keep it in the main level. And then the levels get stored as .pkg files. You know, that's how it gets loaded whenever you load into a zone. So anything that's done through Lighting Engine, Dark Souls 2 has no idea that this is happening. Like, even right now, Dark Souls 2 has no fucking idea what I'm doing. I love the free cam option. And then it shows like the camera frustrum. I think that's how they call it. The fact that FromSoft never showed love for DS2 is heartbreaking. But I think they did. I mean, they did Scholar the First Sin. That's actually more than they've ever done for any game. Is here's another version of it. That's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, kind of weird, frankly, but you know, I do think it made some good changes. I still like vanilla as well. I'm not one that like picks sides on that as much. I actually think both are valid. TBH. That's a big TBH. Yeah, they didn't do Remastered. That was Q-Lock. And it was commissioned by Bandai Namco, so yeah. As far as we know, FromSoft had just literally no involvement in that. They've never... Scholar's the closest they got to remastering their own games, to be honest. Like, and that's mainly just because the console version got 60 FPS and like higher quality textures, but like those were already the textures you could get on PC, so really it's not really a remaster. It was just like, hey, PS4 and Xbox One, they can handle better quality textures, and I think that's cool. So but yeah, I don't think there's a good argument for the fact that FromSoft not showing Dark Souls 2 love. Like, I don't really know what the example would be of them not loving it, right? Hell, Dark Souls 2 got a PC port that was so much better than Dark Souls 1. And they did Scholar, so I don't know. I don't really agree with that, which is okay. Okay, so let's add this to the shadows. Let's hit two-sided. Let's turn off the highlight selection, because unfortunately that is just very annoying to look at over and over. I'm going to turn up the diffuse scale temporarily, because that basically makes it easier to look at the shadows. Yeah, okay, so you can actually see the grass shadows moving. So that confirms that the baked lighting is not currently active, which is great. However, I think these shadows are not actually from the sun. I think they're from a spotlight that I placed here. And you can check that by basically moving the sun. And I'm moving the sun, but the shadows are not changing direction at all, which means that they're actually being done through a spotlight. They have to be. So if we go into the actual map here, yes, I believe they actually were faking it through a spotlight. No, actually, this is a spotlight placed by me. Oh, well, there you go. Presumably. Yeah, okay, so that's how they were actually doing the shadow casting. Or I was, presumably, you know? Yeah, there's also Elden Ring, which does bring back, you know, some staples from DS2, so I don't know. And then Tanamura, he's been the co-director on DS3, co-director on Elden Ring, like, I don't really see. And then Miyazaki's been absolutely, he's praised Dark Souls 2 and thought it was a fantastic experiment for the company. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the uh, argument that they don't like Dark Souls 2 or show it love. I think they've shown it equivalent love versus the other games, to be honest. They've never played that bullshit game of which one they love most, at least to me. I mean, okay, I guess the argument I could see, I'm going to be really good and I'm going to talk and work at the same time. I think what's interesting is, yeah, you could see that like Dark Souls 3 has more references to Dark Souls 1 than Dark Souls 2, so you could say, is that the reason? Sorry for the loud car again. There's just a fuckwad that lives near here, and he likes to do that. It's very annoying. Okay, so we do add the shadow on the tree. You know what? I wonder if this might be a really stupid idea, but I might actually just move this spotlight up to the crag. That could be really funny. Hold on. Let's see how far this spotlight's gonna go. Yeah, so Dark Souls 3, I think there's actually a really good reason why there's not as many Dark Souls 2 references. It's not nearly as salacious or interesting as people would like, but it's because they were being developed at the same time. They overlapped a lot. We have to remember Dark Souls 3 came out in 2016, Scholar came out in 2015, Vanilla DS2 came out in 2014. So you are co-developing these. So quite literally, I'm not sure how you would bake in all of the references when you, like, Dark Souls 2 isn't even, like, fully, I think, digested at that point, to From Software. So yeah, I don't know why that, like, of course. You know, and I think that was kind of me coming to terms with it. And we're like, well, that makes sense, actually. There's a larger gap between DS1 and DS3, so, like, you can look back and pick things and plan that out, but, like, the people that made Bloodborne probably went to Sekiro. It's not as clear cut as that. They all hop around, at least from what I've heard. It's not so much clear cut. And so Dark Souls 3 was being worked on by non-Dark Souls 2 people, and then after Dark Souls 2 was done, I don't think we have a clear arrangement of exactly where everyone went. But, you know. Let's turn down the ambient again. We don't actually want that to be too bright. So now I'm going to my backup plan, which is what if, chat, what if I just set a gigantic ass spotlight? What if I create my own fucking sun? I actually can create a different sunlight in a different way, but I think the spotlight might be the best way of doing that. Oh yeah, I had one up here as well. I think this is from an override, though. I do think they're... Sometimes you work on the mod so long that you actually forget where some of the stuff is. Like, there's actually a spotlight all the way over here, which I'll admit I didn't remember. Ooh, here you can see an example of this object is actually a lighting engine model that I had taken from Things Betwixt, and I had been placing them in place of these placeholder alpha cards. And because I basically wanted to replace the fake flat ones with real ones, and I forgot to block the rendering of the old ones. So if we go into Object Editor, and then we actually select them, you can see that this object is actually, oh, god damn it. Well, now I know why I had an issue earlier, where the crag disappeared in one of the versions of my mod recently. And that's because I blocked the rendering of these, but it's connected to the crag. Like, they are one and the same. And if I wanted to separate that out, I could. But it's also a bitch to do. So for now, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that. Okay, so let's do that, and then let's place... I am curious about this point light over here, or this spotlight, because how bright is it? Yeah, it's a scale of 1 and then 150. Okay. Interesting. Call me broke, but God, do I love modding. You can call me broke, because it's true. Alright, so we got 1 and 150. Interesting. Let's snap back to game camera. And I'm going to mess with the intensity, because I don't remember this. Okay, well, it's hitting the new rocks that I added over there, but, like, what other value is it bringing? I guess I'll make it cast shadows. I don't know. Once I get closer to it, I'll determine what the fuck that spotlight was doing. This all looks really complicated. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think I'm so used to just doing all this shit that, like, I'm just... Oh, my God, he kind of freaked me the fuck out a little bit there. Look how hideous these guys are. I think they're using a LOD mesh thing. I think I'm far enough away that, like, obviously we know the frame rate's low, but, like, their model, God, is it really that shitty? Ugh. Oh, no, it upgraded to the higher poly one. Okay, we're good. Actually, while we're here, this is how I mod, by the way. I hop around. Don't worry about it. It's very chaotic, I know. Let me grab this guy. That sounds bad. Let me grab his textures. So basically, yeah, you can select them and then hit create texture overrides. These are not green, so you know that it has not been overridden yet. So you hit create texture overrides, and you'll now see that the homies textures have now popped right here, and I opened them in that. It looks worse now. What? What happened to my boy Yoda? I know. Yeah, spotlight shadows get wonky when they are too far away. That was my thinking. I was like, you know what? It's probably not going to like it. But the weirdly, what I find fascinating is how you work like an artist and very much not like an engineer. Yeah, I I guess. I guess that's good. I don't know. On 5 milligrams or 500 milligrams of crack, that's good. Yes, spotlight shadows do not like to go too far. I was hoping that maybe I'd get lucky and they'd be really cool now. But anyway, yeah, let's upscale this texture real quick. That's a pretty easy process. Like, I don't do anything magical there. I really don't. Like, it's Topaz Photo AI, which they have Gigapixel, which is their other image upscaling. But I've used both, and I found that the Photo AI actually has more, like, tuning options. It's not just like a straight upscale, which Gigapixel has its own, you know, configuration, but I've generally liked the results from Photo AI better. But yeah, so basically you load it, and then it runs its little tests. You hit upscale, and then you get your initial result. And you kind of want to pop around and go, how does this look? How does this look? You have 6 different models. The standard one is, standard V2 is pretty good for like bricks, stone, most things. To be honest, standard V2 is kind of the most advanced model. And it adds the most detail, but the problem is it adds too much detail sometimes. And that is controlled through the deblur. So you can see when you crank up the deblur to like 100, it's insane. And then even if you turn it all the way off, you actually still get an improvement in detail here. But once again, it's too noisy. I don't like it. And that depends completely on what you're upscaling. And so in this case, I'm like, I don't really want it to be too grainy for their like skin texture, right? And so there is a denoise filter, but on standard V2, it's a little weird. If you want something to be a little bit less crunchy, it would be fire if you could upscale specific parts more than others. Technically, you can. Technically, you could mask out certain things. I haven't found that to be terribly necessary. It handles fairly well when you dial it in which thing adds more detail, but you could also get lost in the weeds on that for like 6 years, and so I just don't do that. I fly around, you check, okay, do we get a little bit of increase in detail? And then for the high fidelity V2, that one, dude, the ambient noises for these enemies is really cool. I've been noticing lately that, because I usually play with the sounds turned either like low or off. But lately I've been playing with them on, and wow, they have some really cool ambient noises for the enemies. Specifically the hollows and Forest of the Fallen Giants. Like, that shit's crazy. Um, okay. So we got pretty decent there. We'll turn off any fixed compression. Now the high fidelity V1 is kind of like the one that you keep in your back pocket, because it's actually pretty solid. Like, this is some nice crunchy detail, but it's just a little bit too much. And even with the de-blur totally turned off, this one is still crunchy AF. And it's a little too crunchy. So this I like, with a little de-blur added. Yeah, wow, you really have to go high on the de-blur for high fidelity V2. Here, now we're in a nice middle ground where there's no de-blur happening. Maybe we do a little bit of denoising. Fixed compression, I honestly, that slider has mostly not done anything for me. Does the AI model you use handle tiling as well? All it does is it just looks at the texture. That's it. So it has just no idea about tiling. Like, it literally just says, this is an image, I will upscale it. That's it. There's no information about anything else, which obviously in this case, I'm not tiling this texture. But yeah, it doesn't have, as far as I know, it has no information about tiling. I could be wrong, but there's also no tiling indicator, or if you wanted to like tile it. There's a number of textures I've pulled up that are already tiled. Like, it's a 1K by 1K texture, and Dark Souls 1 has one in the painted world where it's actually, they just took the original and then multiplied it, which I mean is tiling, right? But it's so obviously tiled that it's like, eh. That means it could introduce seams on the edges. I guess for me, like, I've legit just upscaled the entire game, and I feel like that hasn't been an issue. But I feel like I would have run into that, but that's just me. Now, I'm not to say that I see everything, but I've been doing this for a long time of upscaling textures in games, and specifically Dark Souls, and it's never been an issue, as far as that. Because it's literally the texture, and then just, like, at the edges, you could be like, oh my god, would that fuck it up? But at least for me, it absolutely is not. So let's hit that. We go 2K to 2K. Yeah, DS1 Painted World's got some, which I guess makes sense because that was like the test map, right? And they were still using like the Demon Souls debug guy, which is great. I'm glad they put it in the game though. They just hit it, you know. Yeah, no normal map, of course. Yeah, and I'm running to that in Dark Souls 2, you know, like the 5% or less of surfaces that just straight up are raw dogging it with an albedo map, and that's it. And there's like one in Huntsman's Copse. I mean, there's multiple, and I just literally, in Things Betwixt, the first surface you look at in Things Betwixt is one with just an albedo map, and you're like, damn it, son of a bitch. But here's what I've done in a couple cases, and it's so stupid. Oh yeah, I could, hold on. Yeah, this has a specular map. You love to see it. Because of course they gave specular maps to the, like, enemies, right? Thank God. So yeah, we already have our new DDS texture, and just for funsies, we'll pull up the specular map to kind of see what they were doing. I make specular maps differently than FromSoft does, so I can't say that they're better or worse. I'm a little bit more interested in specular overall than I think they are on average. Specifically now, the modern FromSoft games, they are kind of averse to specular, which I think is an overcorrection from the DS3 Bloodborne days. IMO, I think they went a little too far, and they just don't like to use specular much. And so Elden Ring can feel almost like sandy, and they also love sharpening. Like, FromSoft loves sharpening harder than anyone has ever loved sharpening. They are hoes for sharpening. Even more than they like feet. They love fucking sharpening. Okay. The goal of this stream is to make it out of Things Betwixt. I promise we won't spend time here, but I am doing things I haven't done before. So also they do the roughness map different, or the roughness, not roughness map, but in their specular map. And this is all just me tinkering around. So am I likely completely fucking wrong? Yeah, probably. But I'm kind of living in my own world over here. And I've also learned that there is no like perfect method for making a specular map. That was surprising to me. For whatever reason on the outside, I always assumed that there was just a set way of making them. And I went, oh, that's not true at all. It completely depends on the engine, what it's using. Obviously, when it comes to normal maps, you have OpenGL versus DirectX. They don't agree on the coordinates or whatever, so that's weird. And then height maps, well, that varies. Sometimes the white will be the depth, sometimes the black will be the highest point. That depends. Dark Souls 2 does not agree with that versus Dark Souls 1. Well, I should say Dark Souls Remastered, because that added parallax occlusion mapping. But they have opposite colors, so you have to remember that. And then for their specular maps, that's also different than Remastered, or Dark Souls Remastered, where they're normally, for the red channel in Dark Souls Remastered, the standard specular maps, the black portion would actually be where there is more specular. And here it's the opposite, where the whitest point is the highest specular, and in this case it's just roughness, right? And then green is metallic. Maybe they don't call it metallic, but I don't know, but I have found that to be the metallic channel. And then blue, I believe, is just shininess, which they commonly will just not put anything here other than just like a set color. And then it'll have like these little pixelated marks. And so I tend to actually use this channel, and they don't always. It's weird. I don't know. You know, they know more than me when it comes to like making materials, right? So like I'm not gonna judge them on that. But anyway, so basically, if I want to make a new spec map, you can just totally make it in Photoshop. Normal maps, that's more complicated. If you want to make normal maps, you better. Now I have a program to do that. My other ones were not as good. Like Crazy Bump, that's abandonware. There's Materialize, which was fine. And God, what was the other one? Later, that was a good one. I use that for a lot of height maps, actually. But Shader Shaper as a game changer. Anyway, we'll get into that later. So then the next thing I usually do is just look at the 3 different channels and which one I'm going to actually pick from. Because commonly if you're looking for, like if I want to fill in the green channel here. Also, I realize this stream is actually just being more me explaining the process, but that's probably a good starting point, right? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a good starting point. I could just be doing the work, but I actually do enjoy explaining it. So it's probably helpful that, and maybe somebody could take something from this. I don't know. But probably not. I sent Shader Shaver your way, but I haven't bought it yet. Okay. So I also was not going to like buy it immediately, but when I saw it, he was like, oh, I'm going to increase the price every single day up until the price that I think it should be. And I was like, well, fuck, okay, I guess I'll buy it at the $10. I don't know. I mean, shit. Like, actually, even at that moment, I couldn't, like, I didn't even have that much. I had enough money to buy it, but, like, should I have bought it? No, not really. But I said, fuck it. But yeah, if you're trying to fill in the metallic channel, you naturally would want to grab the channel here that basically emphasizes what you want to have specular on and then de-emphasizes the things that you don't want to have specular on. So in this case, the teeth will have more specular, the skin will have less. Presumably. That's a bit reductive, but that's generally. And so in this case, I actually find the blue channel to be the most... See, this happens too, where I forget to actually resize it. So the specular maps are commonly 1/2 or 1/4 of albedo resolution, commonly 1/2. And so because I'm upscaling the textures, that means the specular maps commonly are getting like a 4x boost. God, garbage trucks are so loud. And I get it, they're heavy, you know? Okay, so we're gonna paste this in, and then I generally start with like, you can basically just crush the top end. And you can tend to narrow it down to the area that you want to have the specular in, which we basically have like claws here, right? That's usually a decent starting point, but what you can also do is actually just use the smudge tool. And it's a lot of fun because you can do different exposure, you can target different things like highlights, shadows, midtones. And so basically, this is actually how I've made a lot of them. I tend to like manually go in and then I dial in what I want to be shown or not. So the darker it is, the less that it's going to be shown on the actual surface or whatever. And here I'm doing the green channel, so I don't really want the skin to be in any way metallic, really. Like, that's not generally the vibe. Except for the eyeball. This eyeball part is kind of weird because you kind of mask that out on its own. And I know this probably seems like making a specular map by an insane asylum patient, but that's, you know, I work in mysterious ways. What can I say? The gums having specular makes sense. Yes, true. Yes, true. Yeah, you know, you can tell that they, I don't know, I guess I was surprised that, like, I was like, oh man, you can really just easily make specular maps based on the albedo textures. Now, you will see a bit of an issue around the teeth. You can see all the, like, compression artifacts, or, well, really upscaling artifacts of picking up on, like, the transparency. Ooh, actually, it should be fine. The reason why it doesn't make as much of a difference in game is that you already have this happening with the albedo, where it is cutting out this portion right around the teeth anyway. So commonly, these upscaling artifacts won't actually be shown in the specular map, if that makes sense. It's weird, but you can also go in and like actually mask that out if you want. This is probably a specular map I wouldn't have touched because it's fine as is. Realistically, they're tiny little people that you'll never see beyond this area, and then like Aldia's Keep, so like it's not a huge deal, right? Also, lighting engine gives you like good wiggle room with your specular map because, okay, the eyeball for now I'm going to get rid of. Don't worry about it. You'll be in the shininess channel. We'll see how that works. Yeah, there's actually wiggle room with lighting engine. You can do shader level edits on the specular map after the fact. So if you ever didn't emphasize something enough, you can kind of wiggle around that, and it's not the biggest deal in the world. So when I want to do the shininess channel, yeah, I guess I am like the Bob Ross of Soulspa. Yeah, I had issues with the eye. Yes, I did. Yes, that was. Yeah, the eyes are weird because they will be masked out in different ways for the albedo texture. So like it's the brightest here. I have generally found it the case where the red channel from the albedo, I've found that works decently well as a starting point for the shininess channel and specular map, and then the blue channel works the best for the red channel that you'll use in the spec map. So it's sort of. They swap spots from albedo to specular map. Why it works out that way, I'm sure there's a good reason, but like I've just kind of found that. So here's this shininess channel, which this one ends up affecting more things because I do want there to be a little bit of a sheen on the skin itself, right? Because naturally, you know, they're probably sweating, you know. They're probably sweating. It's not easy out there. It's also like we're in a cave, you know? It's a little moist. So I'm not opposed to that. So even if we just raw dog this and just don't even do anything with it, just for funsies, because now we have the actual roughness, which you can see here, the widest point is where it's the least rough. So that's why you can tell in here they had it completely white for the eyeball. They were like, just let everything through. just let it run free. And so if I copy it into here as well, and then commonly you can use the alternate tool, which is the dodge tool. I don't really know why it's called the dodge tool, to be honest with you. And so you can actually brighten it. This is using the midtones, but you can also do the shadows. You do the highlights, that also is fine. But here, realistically, I actually could just, I could pick like 200, you know, on the RGB scale, and then just absolutely draw the shit out of it on it, because you don't even need, it's just like a flat roughness thing. But just for funsies, I will not do that. And I will actually do it my insane method, which is brightening it. Okay, the eyeball I'll have to actually... Yoink. Okay, I didn't actually... You know, the other thing about modding on stream that I was worried about for a long time, where I was like, yeah, but aren't they just going to see that it's not actually that glamorous and my methods are incredibly stupid, and they might be like, this motherfucker doesn't know what he's doing. And then I was like, yeah, I guess I just don't really care about that anymore. Because I'd be like, well, I don't know, go make your own mod. I'm interested in your remaster mod. Let me know when it comes out. Which I know is sort of like combative, but at a certain point it's like, well, just go make your own fucking mod. Like, I would be happy to support someone else making a remaster mod. That's fine. I'll still make mine. Go make yours. I love their claws. Look at this. That's probably too much specular, but it's fine. Well, this is the roughness portion. I'm doing that SpongeBob thing where he really needed water, but he wanted to prove to Sandy that he could just breathe normally, I guess? I can't remember. Now there's something about that. And so he was like, water. And that's me trying to not look at the chat, because I'm like, I need to be focused. I need to be focused. Nah, that's too much. Yeah, I'm also... Oh, I'm an idiot. God damn it. I'm doing the wrong thing. I was in a brush that I didn't want to be in. I wanted the dodge tool. God damn it. I mean, realistically, I got a similar result, so I'm not mad at it. But here let me go back to dodge. That's on me. That's on me, chat. I will commonly forget what I'm doing. Here you go. Because this way I can see if I can keep some of the eyeball detail in the roughness a little bit. Gives it a little bit more detail. Where before they were just using a flat, like, just straight up. Here it's white, boom. So I'm actually going to go on the nails here. Yeah, this looks a lot better than the brush I was using. No wonder that looked way too broad. Let's see. Nice, nice. Okay, let's get over there. So we'll keep some of the detail on the teeth. That's why the dodge tool and the burn tool. Can't we just say lighter and darker? What's up with that? Why don't we just call it lighter and darker? Is that not cool? Is that not hip? Does that not sound like artsy enough? Like, I don't know. That seemed weird to me. Why did we call it these funky ass names? Okay. So for now, and then I'm gonna, now that I've done that, I'm gonna crush the skin portion, because I don't want that to be overly specular. So I can kind of use the roughness portion here to just crunch it down. Just crunch it down a bit. I don't need as much. And then we have our metallic working for this. Although I will actually just continue burning off Maybe that's why they call it burning. I'm burning off the detail here. Just a bit. I could go around the teeth, but quite honestly, no one's ever gonna fucking notice. Like, if we're being real. Unless it looks weird, okay. Damn it, where'd he go? I hear you. I hear you. Okay. While I'm here, let's hit save textures. Oh yeah, I think I did get rid of this, but this is where the baked lighting, I think I have to put back. Because now it's made this entire thing dark. And you lose the shadow on the big pillar here. I have not gotten sun shadows to properly work in here, because the sun is actually outside of here. It's actually outside the crag, which is actually just a flat fucking image. And so it's interesting. I have not been able to get it to actually like come out of the hole, basically, but because it's not really a hole, right? It's actually a flat fucking image. You can even see the edge of it right there. There's a cutout, which makes sense. Like, you're not gonna render all of that. I think it's actually really convincing, though. Are always to combine layers. I guess. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure it's way more complex than I'm making it, but like it's so good at just lightening and darkening things. That's like what it does. Like, it quite literally, that is even as they describe it, selectively darkens areas in an image. And then the dodge tool, they go, it lightens areas. Well, just fucking call it light and dark. What are we doing? Oh, drink water. That's a solid move. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just call it that. I feel like that's something from like 1980 that they just never changed. So I did save this. Yeah, so here's the actual cutout. And if I pull up the texture, you'll see it. It's pretty cool. Really convincing, too. Especially from a distance, obviously. Yeah, this one's really cool, because it's actually these pillars. Oh! Well, for a second there, I was going to be like, I could just erase the pillars from the texture, but no. That's dumb. Because the meshes will still be there. And we don't like that. But yeah, they even have like a little bit of the Majula sky, presumably. And then you get this like little detail on the side. It's really cool. It's very cool. I, of course, could set it to not be shadow casting, but for some reason I still wasn't able to get the sun to come through. I haven't really had that much issue, because I have forced sun shadows on, I have baked lighting turned off, I've done all the things I commonly do. I even manually removed the light map from this surface, because it still had one, even though it was disabled. Want me to give you the sun direction I used? Yeah, sure. I'm down for that. Because I was playing with the sun direction, and I could never actually get it to show up correctly. Like, yeah, I did that. I've had that. Yeah, I've had LE sun direction on. Oh. Oh, did I figure it out? Oh, shit, I figured it out. Maybe? Okay. Well, I don't know why it didn't work before, but like, I couldn't actually get the sun shadows to show up back here, though. So let me... Yeah, let me turn on the diffuse a lot more, too, because it is genuinely somewhat dark in here. And I'm going to crank this way higher just for the usage of... Yeah, I mean, it is coming through there, but like, once again, we are not... luminosity. What would be the lighting engine translation of that? I only speak in lighting engine terms, as the simpleton that I am. But yeah, so I think, yeah, oh yeah, let me hover. You know, one thing I would really like is if I could go into FreeCam and then also go into the F1 menu. That's something I do want to like talk to Rage about. I'd be like, and maybe it's already a feature, but like it's annoying. I actually want to be up that high and also modifying the sun direction. Um, yeah, like obviously here I am modifying where the sun is, but it's actually not reflecting on any of the environment. Not really, because I can show you in a different area where obviously you see the sun, you see all the shadows moving. And I already have everything added to the shadow map. I may have missed one thing or two. But yeah, and so my thinking was like, oh, did I have this set as shadow casting and thus blocking things, which is not true. I have made sure that that was not what it was doing. And also it was alpha tested. So I actually think this middle portion is actually cut out. Yeah, you can actually see here it's cut out in the alpha channel. No, only for that, but they black out. Okay. And then I can even turn off the shadow casting just for the rest of the skybox, just for funsies, just to make sure, you know. And I don't have any sort of scene override. And it makes me think that like I have another mesh floating out there somehow. Yeah, there's a debug option. That's true. I've barely ever used it, but yes, there is like a debug shadow map, and then there's the debug sun shadow adjustment, which I don't think I've ever used that. I think I turned it on once and I went, well, I don't really know what this does, but that's cool, you know? Oh, is that telling me that I should be receiving a sun shadow? Well, that's nice. And I'm assuming it only works on players and characters, because I see the enemy has one, I have one, so it's showing that these are receiving sun shadows in some way, but it doesn't work on map pieces, it seems. At least not that I can tell, which would be... And debug shadow map, I don't necessarily know what that does either, to be honest. Because I have everything else added to the shadow map correctly. Some disabled local shadow casting that is just kind of a holdover. Yeah, these are a lot of the things I'm finding where back in the day with this mod, before I turned off light maps entirely in the F1 or the atmosphere configuration, I would manually go through and disable baked shadows this way, but I don't need to do that because that actually doesn't. There's only been some cases where that still turns off light maps where it doesn't get turned off the other way. But now I just turn them off by blacking out the light map if need be. I mean, I guess one thing I can do is like, okay, let me fucking move. Let me move. Yeah, you can see it's just not reacting to any of the environment, which is very unusual. But I think it's because it's quite literally an interior location and it just... I don't know why it's not going through the mesh. Like, obviously, I think those are just the light shafts, to be honest. Like, that's what's actually responding. Yeah, as I have light shafts. Oop, didn't mean to hit the depth range or even mess with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, because that was basically just the light shafts responding to me moving the sun. But the actual sun itself and any of the volumetrics just... They're just getting stopped at the skybox. And I don't even have the skybox set to be shadow casting. So like, I don't know. You know, I am curious if people will actually be interested in this shit because like this is what my modding is. Like it's not glamorous. It's just looking at shit like this until I figure out what the fuck is going on. And commonly it's usually my issue. Not always, but doesn't allow sunlight at all. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I figured out, okay, well actually here's something. Ooh, hold on. I may have figured it out. So this is definitely something that's been happening with the light maps lately. So I did black out this one. And I will undo that. Because I saw that it was still using the light map, obviously. Damn, I was really hoping that this wasn't it was still open in Photoshop, so I could just undo it. So if you ever need to undo something, a texture you've already overridden and messed with, it's great. You can literally just delete that shit and then just reboot. And then the original one pops back. Just put a second sun in the crack and call it Scholar of the Second Sun. Hey, there you go. Yeah, you can do a secondary light for the area, but that won't fix the... There's clearly something, and it reminds me of that No Man's Wharf room that you go to Lost Bastille, too. And you use that little fucking table thing, ornamental table, I don't know. And it had a light map that was absolutely jammed on. Like, anybody can go there and make their own mod and, like, turn on shadow casting. It was still using. So here you can see, now we can see the ground again, because I put the light map back. By blacking it out, it actually did not remove it. Oh, you know the other thing that's happening? I think these rocks are actually from... I think that's from... It's like, I think that's Majula shit. No, actually Majula's not loaded. Oh, this must be in the water in the distance. But because of the way Dark Souls 2 works, by default, it has not loaded that area yet. Or that specific mesh. That's interesting. Okay, well, that sucks. I can't mess with draw groups in Lighting Engine specifically. That is something you can do through map edits, but the problem is that forces your mod offline. So I'm going to delete these then. Like, even if it means less clutter in the distance, I don't want people seeing that from here. I just don't. Sacrifices must be made. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so the light map is back, which is, you know, nice. But I still want to try deleting it. Because if I can get actual sun to show up, that would be why the sun is not showing up. Because it basically has light maps jammed on for this fucking area. Like not hard-coded, but pretty close. So let's do an override for that again. Oh, I kind of saw what happened. Is essentially... What if I do this? And I just get rid of... Just for funsies, I want to try it out. BC3, not normals. BC3 normal. Yeah, you can see it darkens it, which is fine. But yeah, it's not actually... So it's actually the light portions that are... The light maps are something I've only ever messed with in Dark Souls 2 within the last few days. I understand Dark Souls 1 light maps better. Dark Souls 2 light maps, it's a different setup. Couldn't tell if this was Things Betwixt or Huntsman's Cops. Yeah, I mean, how it looks right now, I wouldn't even... Yeah, I'm just goofing with shit. This is, yeah. By luminosity, earlier I meant sun/sky luminance. Got it. Yeah, I can only... It's placed directional marker. Yeah, I only... Unfortunately, my vocabulary is only Lighting Engine based. The luminance scale. Yeah, messed with that a lot. And I tend to just jack that up while I'm trying to get sun shadows to show up in areas that I've had issues with, because I don't want there to be any sort of confusion between the darkness that you would normally see. The other thing I'm going to do is actually disable this light here, because I don't want that confusing me. So we're going to turn off the spotlights. Maybe this will just be the Things Betwixt episode. How about that? Nah, maybe not. We'll see. But anyway, I'm turning their intensity down to 0. And I will simply put them back, or... Honestly, frankly, I'm just delete them. I'm just gonna delete them. Because if they're originally in the map, I'll see it under the lights editor. And so I'm not too interested in maintaining these if Yeah, let's just delete that. Let's just make it easier. And while I'm here, I'll place this a little bit better. Because I can't block these meshes yet. I'd have to slice out these portions of, well, yeah. Because unfortunately, these pillars are connected to the crag. So if I block one, I block the other. But what I could do, maybe, no, that would still be the same mesh like identifier, so no, we will not mess with that. Yeah, so now I turned off the spotlights. And I'm going to basically fuck around with the light map here until I can get what I want, if that makes sense. Actually, what the fuck? Oh yeah, redo update from file. So this is how it looks by default. And I think if I just crush the alpha channel, that I don't think if I make it all white. This is the fun thing about Dark Souls 1 is figuring out. Okay, so that just makes everything brighter. Ooh, but it did keep the baked shadow. That's interesting. Okay. Huh. Interesting. And that's got the tessellation on it. Here you can see I'm telling it to cast a shadow, and it just doesn't care about that. Just nothing happens, which is just entirely unusual, which would mean that the sun is just simply not working. Yeah, the directional marker, so I'm assuming that's telling me where, yeah, oh, that's actually really nice. I never thought about using that. I placed it once, like months ago, and I went, huh, I don't know what that does. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's... And so basically, I always just judged direction based on seeing the sun itself, right? Which I know is not a perfect method. So I basically would always do the sun disk like really bright, and then I could just see. I do like the set game direction, so it kind of tells you where it initially was, right? Which it does seem like initially it's in the right spot to be able to show something through, but it just doesn't. So I don't have any of that shadow casting. I still think it's a light map issue. That's, if I can figure out the light map, that's the key. And usually this has worked. This is what worked in No Man's Wharf, is you basically just black it out, and that commonly pretty good. And you save it as BC3. Yeah, in this case, it just ends up deleting the thing entirely, and it just, nothing shows anymore, which is not what we want. Yeah, so it's weird that that worked in No Man's Wharf. Maybe it's because it's a dark area, so like, but like I was able to see the shadows through it, so this is still blocking any actual shadow, like dynamic shadow. And let's see. By angling it weird. Yeah, see, that was my thought too, of like, is there a mesh somewhere that I haven't been able to find? Because I see the, well, you know what? That's actually a pretty good thing. If I have an idea. It's a really dumb idea, but I think it's going to be worth it. So I can clear the shadow map, because my shadow map is based on like months and months and months of like adding stuff to the shadow map. So if I just clear it, okay, I actually didn't mean to turn off the tessellation for that. Put it back on. There you go. I shouldn't set it to 1,000, I know. Yeah, this is a hard map to work on. This has been one of the harder ones. Like, I'm trying to think, what's the other hard map that I hate working on? Well, for DS1, it's Duke's Archives. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate that map. I hate working on that map. It's so goofy. Nothing works correctly. Nothing looks like it should. I don't know why, but it just works on a completely different level. So yeah, clear shadow map. Hey, it worked. It turns out we did have a mesh that was blocking it. Well, fuck me. I could have saved myself a lot of time by just starting with that. Okay, let's turn that back down. God damn it. See, this is why we do this. This is the... Okay, so now I think if I add this back to the shadow map, I think it'll go through the crag correctly. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's see. No. God damn it. Oh yeah, let's do this. Directional marker. Yeah. Okay, I need to add it to the other stuff as well. Okay, let me be careful about this. Let's see what I'm adding it to. I'm adding it to the big fat mesh, which is good. We don't want the sun coming through that. Right. And then we want to add it to this, right? And then I'm going to delete it from this, just for now. Just for now. Let's see, does it still work? Okay, maybe not. Hey! Oh god, I mean, it's way too bright, but like... Also, the volumetric fog, Jesus Christ. Well, it's not... Oh, sunlight intensity, 700. Jesus Christ, why did I have it up that high? I think it's because I was trying to get it to actually show. Also, I have no idea why the point light intensity is set to 90. What the fuck? Who the fuck was doing that? Oh, the ambient intensity. Jesus Christ, I got a lot of settings here that were just fucked. I think I was really trying to get it to show up. For sure. Ambient, yeah, okay. Let's crank this down. Dude, this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be the first time to have an actual dynamic things betwixt. That's sick. That's a first in my mod. I've known that this was the case for a while. Okay, so now I believe, look, you can see the shadows moving. Oh, it's wild. Oh my god, thank the fucking Lord. And actually, the default direction kind of works, but not really. So the good thing is I can use the grass, presumably, to... Ooh, yeah, that's a little tough. Yeah, the height, I think, is going to be part of the problem. Because it's going to be pretty low, you know. I don't want it to be too much. Yes, I can show you. These are actual shadows. Look at the shadows move. Woo! We have dynamic shadows, baby. You'd love to see it. Yeah, it can be difficult initially to understand if it's... Now these are, I think actually a lot of these are screen space shadows. But not all of them. Some of them are by default shadow casting in the base game, and they will continue to be. I like how they run by you and then they don't attack you. But like for instance here, if we add a dynamic shadow, oh, look at that. And then while I'm here, I'm going to change the shadow setting down here down to 1 to get the absolute max shadow quality that I can from this distance. And it, you know, it's still pretty fuzzy, but like, you know, it's a small blade of grass, right? Of course, you are publishing an update just as I finished downloading the latest mod. Oh, well, the good thing is that's only like a day old. And this is just a small update. I mean, I do this every like 3 days. You get an update. I know that's probably annoying for people, but like, I think that's preferable than to not release a new version, you know? Like, some people would complain about that, and I'm like, okay, so you just want me to put out less? That's interesting. That's a wild idea. Okay. Crazy. Okay, so I do need to mess with the volumetrics here, because I actually want the volumetric fog to go through the crag, or at least somewhere near it. So we might mess with the phase. Oh, now this is really helpful. When you can get the phase factor set up this high, you can then tell like where the origin point is. So then you can actually move it to where you actually want that to be, essentially. Yes, I've always wanted there to be realistic light coming from it, and they faked it in a lot of ways. But this looks better. This is what I've wanted for so long. Yes, I need to lower the ambient diffuse scale for sure. And then this might be a little strong. So if we just enough. We'll just do that. I got the sky influence. Oh, Bastion Mello, thank you for becoming a channel member. That means you get Google Drive links to my mods and the ad-free versions of the videos as well. I don't know what to do about the streams as far as not having ads because they're going to be really long. And I don't want to like download each one of them, you know? So, yeah. The only problem is the slow download speed. Yes, I honestly like premium's a great deal. I don't know why people are weird about that. Like, it's insanely cheap and it works on like every mod. So, I mean, that's just a great deal. I got gifted premium for free, but before I was gifted premium, I did end up paying for premium because I was like, it's like €5 or something. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty, you know, and they do have server space. Like they have expenses, you know, so I don't know. I always found that people were a little bit weird about Nexus mods and, oh yeah. We don't want to go too bright though. We want to make sure the crag is still visible. The crag is the key here. But can we dial it? Can we dial it in? Also adjust the specular response to bring back the bluish tint. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I'm just messing around. So I'm not in the final touches of any of this. Yeah. That's another part about modding live is that I understand feedback is part of it, but there's also a part where like I really enjoy just goofing versus I don't know, my focus can start to stray a lot if people point out a bunch of things that they want to look different. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll work on it. I understand where you're coming from, but I think then it becomes sort of like a request channel thing, and I don't really want it to be like that. Just more of like, I think if I ask for like how to work on it or something like that. If that makes any sense, I don't fucking know. Like, I think that's why I like the solidarity, is that the right? The solitude? It's a solve something, I don't know. Is working by yourself, you don't have anyone else telling you anything, which I know is like such a, I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I tend to really like that because I only have me to handle with, you know. But yeah, if there's too many cooks in the kitchen, I don't like that. I go, nah. But your tips are very helpful, so I don't mean that. So let's mess with the directional light intensity a little bit. Yeah, that doesn't really do much. Yeah, can I pin? Maybe I should pin something. I'll just pin a well, really, I need to be good about this. Engage with your audience. What the fuck does that plus mean? Start a poll? No, I don't want to start a fucking poll. Oh, do I just have to type it and then I can pin it? Okay. If you want a guaranteed response, please consider Ko-Fi or Super Chat. Okay. Starting now, I'm gonna be good, and I'm not gonna be talking as much because if I talk too much, I get really fucking tired and I hate it. So I'm gonna stop doing that. Oh yeah, no, I totally get where you were coming from, Abraham Link, which I love your name, by the way. It took me a while to realize. I was like, oh, Abraham Lincoln. Ah, Uh, I just was like, oh, that's an interesting name. Yeah, if you want my attention, do that. Because also I need to make money. I'll be real with you. If we think that the ad revenue from these streams is going to be enough, no. No, it's not. I'll be real. I mean, I'd love to be surprised, but I doubt it. I fucking doubt it. And, you know, this is time I'm spending doing this versus doing other things. So, like, that is an issue. This is sort of a test in the sense of, like, if this just takes up all my time and I make less money from it, then I'm not going to fucking do it. Like, if we're just being real. Like, you know, at some point, that's just, like, if people don't want to watch it, then I ain't going to do it. And I'll just put out videos like I normally do, which I'm still going to do. Because I have enough time. I can do that. But, like, yeah. I wish I had, like, an uncle that had, like, a rich inheritance that I got from him, right? You know? Yeah, you know. Like, if I just had infinite money, fuck yeah, I wouldn't care about anything. I wouldn't care about ads. I'd turn off ads on all my videos. I'd fucking turn off everything. I hate talking about it. Realistically, I live in the real world. I got bills to pay. And I also understand what I'm doing is ridiculous. And no one, you know, would think to pay money to do that. I don't know. It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we got the bloom threshold. We got the decay rate. You do a little bit of light shafts on top, and it can look pretty good. Let's get a little bit of mask darkness. Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, let's go here. And we have our ambient diffuse, which we don't really want to have too high. And the specular response that Abraham Lincoln was talking about, that is a strange... The grass handles it in a weird way, because it doesn't even have a specular map. That's the thing, like, this grass doesn't even have a specular map. It's just straight up an albedo texture, which, you know, makes sense, right? And I don't even have anything turned on it. Like, that's just how it looks. But I think it's also because I don't have the atmosphere set up how I like. So let's add everything to the shadow map again, because I had to clear it out. Now, there is a nice feature that Rage Vitamins added at my request, which was very nice, where I basically was like, is it possible that I could add multiple things to the shadow map at once? Because this might surprise you, but what I have literally been doing for this entire mod is selecting one object, add scene entity to shadow map, select other object, add to shadow map. And I've done that for the entire game, which is hundreds upon thousands. And of course it's over time, right? But I've already gone through all the areas and mostly added everything to the shadow map, which enables dynamic shadow casting in Lighting Engine, which means you do not have to rely on the baked lighting at all. But what we're going to do, yeah, let me remember to use the add entities of same mesh in view, and then that should work. And so now this is the really boring part where I'm just going to just click on a lot of stuff. Look at that shadow. That's sick. Yes, actual dynamic shadows. It's crazy. What a world we live in, you know? I also realized I have goblin posture. Okay. That's already added. We'd love to see that. Ooh, okay, don't need that. Okay, that's already there. Oh, that's right. I had not cleared the shadow map for the other level, which is fine because we fixed our sun issue. Here's the LE grass that I've placed. Look at the surface quality though. Look at the nice roughness map on the surface here. It's cool. You don't always want to add two-sided to every mesh. It really does depend on the mesh itself if two-sided is necessary versus just the main side. So let's hit that. And we'll just kind of pop on through here, see what we get. Oh my god, actual sun? It's crazy. I think this is probably not the shadow thing either. Okay. Get that. Oh, that is. Oh, and that is too. Nice. But that isn't. Boom. I love to see it. But yeah, I feel like that's the trade-off with streaming the mod work is I think in general I can expect to get less work done. But I will get better at that over time of just ignoring chat by default, which I know is crazy and it sounds rude and stupid, but that's just how it has to be to a certain degree. I can look over occasionally, but I just can't respond to everything. All right. So I don't need that anymore. I guess I need chat to understand that they're more likely going to be flies on the wall. And there is some conversation, but I can't promise a lot of it because otherwise I just get exhausted and then I go take a nap after stream and then I'm just exhausted for the rest of the day. Which I know sounds crazy probably, but it's true. I am a massive, massive introvert and I don't need much social interaction. And so streaming is incredibly taxing. But I need to make money. So here we are. And there's part of me that obviously enjoys it because, of course, it's not like I don't like talking to people. I do. It's just fucking tiring. I live in a cave and I don't need a ton of human contact. I live with my brother, so like we talk and then friends and family, but like on average, I don't need much social interaction. Dude, you come all the way out here? That's crazy. Also, how'd your specular map go? Also, can we talk about how crazy it is that H-Bomber guy came in here and he left a comment on a video a couple days ago. I think the last Dark Souls Dude video prior to the one that was just posted. And he was like, man, I can't wait to play this. And I was like, I had to do a double take on the username. Because I was like, well, surely that's not H-Bomber guy, right? Yeah, no, it was H-Bomber guy. Dude, this looks sick with the sunlight actually coming in. This is what I've always wanted. Currently, the sunlight is set... that is a bit interesting. The sunlight is actually set to be blue, and the ambient diffuse is set to be blue, and yet the sun is still coming off somewhat warm. That's interesting. Yeah, that's weird. I don't even have any, like, color grading that's, like, crushing that or anything. That's interesting. I think you can add chat rules. That sounds true. I did not see that option. Yes, basically, well, exactly, Abraham Link. That's what I always do. I just fuck around with shit until I go, oh, so that's what's causing it. Okay. Yeah, like, I've been working on this mod for so long that is just one. Yeah, that is interesting. This looks blue, but the way it's actually affecting the surface, yeah, you got to move it up a little bit more blue to compensate. That's fair. And then the specular thing you were talking about on the grass doesn't actually have a specular map, and it's also not using a roughness map. So that is just the way that it was shading the foliage, essentially. But yeah, I mean, it largely is just the sun color. And then, of course, the ambient diffuse, you could match the color 100%. Ooh, actually, this does mean I get to use a second light now, because I really wasn't using that in Things Betwixt, because it didn't really work that well. And now I know why. Oh yeah, let me turn down the sun luminance. I don't actually need that to be like insanity. Okay, so then if we're... Yeah, okay, I'll sit with that for now. And now there's not a perfect method to this either, but I generally have had the secondary light at the same height, and then I swap I flip the direction on the other two. And I've had good results with that, but that is by no means the best method, but I like it. I like it, and it works. So, then the warp. I think it's supposed to be called wrap. I'm pretty sure it's wrap, right? But it says warp, and I don't care. But maybe not. Maybe it is warping around surfaces. But I also feel like wrap works for that. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, the second light is not terribly working well. That's a first. Usually it works pretty well. You can see it's working on a distant mesh there. But it's actually not working on the rest of the map. Okay. Well, maybe I won't. Fuck that. I'll come back to that later. Now, interestingly, this got a lot... Okay, that got a little darker. Oh, I wonder. Oh, that's... Oh, okay, so they're all using that same light map. Okay, well that's good, because I've overridden that. Interesting. Oh. Oh yeah, it's because I disabled the specular map. That would check out. That would definitely check out. And then, oh, and that's interesting that they separate this one little piece of the pie separately. That's interesting. And it doesn't have a normal map because, well, fuck that. I mean, why would we do that? Why would we have a normal map? That's crazy. That's insanity. We would never, ever think of doing that. Ooh, here's a good opportunity for tessellation. I'm surprised I haven't already enabled that. But look how low quality these rocks are. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not great, obviously. And so if we do a little override. And then dial in the tessellation a little bit. Because I don't want it to be too crazy, right? Yeah, that works. Boom. Save. And we're good to go. Now let me check. I realize I've literally been streaming this whole time for an hour and 45 minutes and I have not moved out of Things Betwixt. But we've done great work. We have done great work. And that's important to point out. We have done great work. Shit in my ass. I literally just forgot what I was doing. I do think the exposure probably needs to go down to 5. Contrast. And this is where we can kind of dial in how dark we want it to. Oop, too high, too high. My finger slipped. Okay, we got our exposure. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. Okay, and then... Man, that noise is crazy. And then the bloom mixture, I've generally found like a 0.1 is pretty, you know, it darkens things a little bit, focuses on the blur a little bit more. Previous versions of my mod were pretty low on bloom. And I had some complaints, and I do understand that. Okay, let's get that. Sweet. Oh my god, we have grass with shadows. It's insane. Wow, that's a big upgrade. I will say there's too much of a delta between the standard grass that they have and then the new grass that I've added, which I'm not terribly happy with this grass because it's too short. I don't really know why I set it that short and didn't have any more like variability. To be honest, I don't really know why I did that. I think I was just worse at it. So let me just delete that fucking grass because I'm like, no, we need a little bit of variation in the grass here. We got to make it look a little natural. I was just terrible with whenever I placed this months ago. I've been redoing all my grass. Realistically, honestly, for this area, I don't think I need to add grass. I don't know why I was so focused on that. Like, Things Betwixt has a fuckload of grass already. So I don't know why I felt necessary that I needed to add more grass to it, because like it's already got grass. Oh, the grass sound is too loud. I mean, that's unfortunately just the sound that it is. I think it's fine. I'm not running into grass that often. But yeah, I get what you're saying. That is not in the scope of the mod. No way, is there actually a surface I haven't upscaled yet? That is rare. That's so fucking rare. What? No shot. No shot, good sir. Really? I'm actually kind of curious what texture that is. Huh. It's just a fucking rock texture I haven't upscaled. That's insane. Oh. I just did a macro that I didn't know existed. Yeah. Somebody just crushed something around me. That's crazy. You can tell it loves rocks, right? Yeah, all right. And this is one that does not have a specular map. Frankly, most surfaces in Dark Souls 2 do not have a specular map. But never fear, as thankfully, we are allowed roughness maps. Also because this is its own mesh like identifier here, it's pretty easy to put tessellation on this because this mesh doesn't look great. Like up close, this mesh just doesn't look great. It's pretty bad. So we're gonna override the fuck out of this. Ooh, okay, tessellation might go a little too far. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I gotta go like lean on this because otherwise it's gonna get too funky, and then it's not gonna match up to the collision anymore, which we very much don't want to have happen. And let's see what we can do. Yeah, let's do 1.199. And this actually does not have any parallax occlusion mapping, which is fine. Not everything needs parallax occlusion mapping. I know that might be shocking coming from me, but it is true. In case you do add chat rules. Yeah, only thing is I don't know how to add chat rules, but like, I'll Google that after the stream. But I appreciate that, yes. Okay, that's true. I've never actually made chat rules other than like, don't be a dick. Don't be a fucking dick or you'll get thrown out. Yeah, let's go with the red channel. And then basically we just shove it down into the alpha channel, you invert it, and that's a good starting point. The other thing is energy conservation. The one and only trivia has taught me so much. And generally I found 199 to be a fantastic number to alter the albedo, and it just lets the roughness map breathe a little bit more. If that makes any sense. And technically Rage is already doing energy conservation at like the shader level at certain points, but like I've still found that to be something that I can dial in myself. And it can look better. Okay, so let's set this distance a little bit farther because I don't really want the to be, or the tessellation to be too obvious, like when you walk towards this. And we'll see if we can even keep that, because frankly, it could just look like dog shit, and I don't... Ooh, actually, did I find a... Oh, shit, yeah, I did. Yeah, there's a little seam there, because I was using... I guess I was using tessellation on the mesh for the ground, which is unusual, and you frankly shouldn't do it most of the time. Okay, which one am I highlighting here? Oh, no, that's a good one to have that on. That's fine. Let's up the distance just a tad. And make sure we can still use palm as well. We can use a little bit. And here you turn it on in the override settings instead of through the normal map, because you're basically doing an override on it. So let's add that to the shadow map. Two-sided, yes. Disabled. Oh, why did I have that enabled? What the fuck? Oh yeah. God, the shadows look so much better. Yeah, this is that's a pretty hefty upgrade. That's pretty nice. That's gonna be in the next version. Well, nice. You know, you just have to focus on something for long enough, and then you go, ah, I have figured out the answer. And thank you, Abraham Lincoln, for popping in with some ideas. That it's all just playing around with shit until it works. So now I'm just kind of going back through and adding anything to the shadow map that is not currently added. And I now have that very nifty button that adds anything that's the same mesh that's in the view of the camera. And obviously that's not like perfect. Here's another tessellation issue. In this case, I'm just going to disable the tessellation. Like, that's fine. Like, you can't always get what you want, but sometimes if you try, you get what you need. And in this case, I got what I needed. So, okay, it's two-sided. Yes. That's tessellation. Yes. It's a lot of clicking on things, which I'm sure is just inherently so interesting to watch. Yeah, that grass was not added. Got it, got it. And a lot of my rock meshes, I turned on the tessellation, but I forgot to enable the parallax when you're also doing that. That is done through a separate method. And I just unfortunately forgot. Okay. Yeah, I really didn't have a lot added to the shadow map in the actual shadow level. I had it all added through this level, and I undid that to fix the sun issue. So, oh, actually, hold on. Oh, that's because I didn't disable the local shadows. Boom, check that out. By default, when you do this, That would be the next thing that I would ask from Rage, is I'd be like, hey, is there a button that I can add the local shadow casting, or essentially disabling this checkbox? Because by default it's always turned on, so you don't have local shadow casting, which I get because it's expensive, but it would save me having to click on everything. I gotta remember to sit back, you know? I can't keep having goblin posture. At some point my back will give out and I will die. And then I just don't mod anymore, you know? I don't need to disable the shadows on everything, but it doesn't necessarily hurt, you know, if it's not even near like a shadow casting source anyway. And then in the original game, they didn't actually have a point light attached to this, so I did add that. That's like the first change a long time ago. I was like, oh shit, that needs to have shadows, because it's also lit up, you know. I do find the waterfall noise very calming. Well, that looks like dog shit. I always forget it's really hard to balance the fog in this area without it just looking like shit. It's definitely one of the reasons I have not enjoyed working on this map as much. I think they tend to like just make the fog really... I would almost prefer to just have it be like really fucking dark, to where you almost like see into nothingness, right? Because let's do the directional. Okay. Oh, dear God. That's not good. We don't like that. Distance and height. Yeah, you can kind of blend. Yeah, if you do that, you can do the camera units. You can kind of blend in the overall environment better, but you can also see up here it looks weird because of the difference of like the meshes, which is not good. Oh, why do I have to set the 20? Okay. Yeah, that was just on the wrong setting. That's crazy. It's likely because I was messing with and not knowing that the baked lighting was like shoved on for a lot of the map still. I prefer the darkness. If I have to choose, I do prefer it being dark. And then commonly I'll look back at like, well, how did it look in the original, you know, or in the unmodded game? Because I admit sometimes I just fucking forget that, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't need the dynamic skyway. Skyway's not as much. Yeah, these settings don't apply nearly as much in things with fixed. Also, just as a general thing, Survivor, I would tend to, I know it was joking, but I would tend not to do any sort of, hey, do this, because I'm just never gonna reply to that well, generally. Yeah, you can see there's basically nothing down there, because technically there's water, but like from here there's not. They have not rendered that in yet, so. Like, oh fuck, okay. I gotta make it look foggy, but you don't actually want to see the bottom of the pillars, because that looks like shit. Holy shit. That was actually pretty sick, though. Okay, yeah, let me do the height fall off for the fog. Let me go back here for a second. Let me check my Twitter for a second, actually. What do we got? I bet it's popping off again. Because I made Guinevere topless in Dark Souls 1 last night. Because someone tweeted at me about the birthday for Dark Souls 1. Or no, they just tweeted about it and I saw it and I was like, and they were like, if someone can make a nude Guinevere mod, and I was like, well, surely that can't be that difficult. And turns out it's not. But also, I'm not gonna like release that as a mod or anything. I just don't have any interest in that. But like, it's not hard to do, so any other Souls modder presumably would. Well, maybe not any other, but I don't know. I don't think it's that hard, so I think they'll figure it out. Also, how has someone not done that already, right? Like, how is that not already a mod? All I did was, like, I took her, like, shirt off, essentially. I mean, it was in Blender, but, like, you know, whatever. Okay. No. I'm gonna move on from this. Yeah, if I work on this too long, I end up getting bored, and I go, oh, okay. But for now, I have the shadows working on most things. We figured that out. And then we're gonna continue. Not all streams are gonna be like that, where I get stuck in one area like that, but that was something I definitely is, like, on my list for a while. It's a good name. Man, the default guy character is like, all right. Maybe I'll go deprived. What about that? It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because I'll just dominate no matter what. I don't think I've ever used miracles in Dark Souls 2. I did like a hex build, but I didn't end up finishing the game with it. So yeah, I'll just go the boring approach. Yeah, I'll do the basic bitch, because realistically it doesn't fucking matter.
All people come here for this.
Thank you, old ladies. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it's definitely darker in here. Because this has its own atmosphere. No, this is actually still Things Betwixt. I swear they had their own atmosphere. Huh. Interesting. I was pretty sure it said Firekeeper's house, unless it activates outside here. There is a fun thing about Things Betwixt, though. They actually don't render the outside until you step right here. And I think that's funny. Oh, so it is Firekeeper's house. Oh, interesting. So it keeps whatever the last... Well, no, to be honest, I don't really know why I didn't switch over to the Firekeeper's house. Maybe that's just something... Ooh, so the downside of having dynamic lighting is that you do run into issues like that if they have a separate, like, direction. So let me go in here and just, you know. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't load that time. Maybe it's the initial, like, character creation. Because you don't technically, like, zone in. They just shove you in it. That's interesting. Okay. I hadn't actually had it open as I was doing that. It was only once I came back in that it said, ah, you do have a separate one. So that checks out. Because I think they just dump you in there. Yeah, I think it's the way that you hit the door and then it goes, you're in it. And there isn't that normal... Hey, I have stepped onto a separate collision, I guess. There must be some thing with that. Oh yeah, it's things... You know what drove me insane with Lighting Engine for so long is that these atmospheres were not alphabetized for the longest time. And it was insane. I was losing my fucking mind trying to find the right one. So this has made my life so much easier. Yeah, I was just gonna set the Firekeeper's house to the same thing because who gives a shit? Like, it's fine. I don't need them to be separate as far as like how they look. I think really things betwixt itself, I never found the big need to have separate directions for it in general, because there's the training one once you get out there, but like, I don't know, I was like, all right, you just have the same spot. At least ooh, you know what this is also gonna fix? But yeah, I love that it doesn't load the area out there. No one really notices because you're walking out like this, right? You're like, ah, okay, here I go, and then it's already there. But all you have to do is look this way. There's so many of those in Dark Souls. The series, at least. They've had so many of those. So this should fix where you don't... you would never see your shadow out here. Okay. Yeah, it's still not blending terribly well with, like, the other stuff. So that I gotta look into. I should be able to mess with that. But yeah, having actual sun come through here, pretty sick. Oh, that was right. I got to change this direction as well. Hold on. I was literally just doing what I was talking about. Yeah, yeah, there you go. That's what we want. So now we have the same direction. And so yeah, it doesn't match up to the game direction, where the game had, at least the baked lighting, had the light hitting like here. And so you would never see your shadow, though, because there's not actually anything casting a shadow, right? We do still have some issues with swapping to, like, now that the volumetric fog is stronger, you can actually see where it loads in the future geometry. Plus, that jump between atmospheres is really strange, because I have set them to be the same. So it is a bit annoying that it will do a flicker, a big bomb when you go back. That sucks, and I don't really... It's not an ambient intensity thing. It's not... Yeah, that sucks. I don't love that. Yes, I had to just mess with the fog, which is fine. I think for the more like granular things, I probably should still do those off stream. I think stream is probably better for like the more established things, but you know, there's no like set, I think, rule. Yeah, so here's an issue with the shadow casting. I need to add these interiors back to the shadow map. Well, there's my stick drift again. Yeah, stop walking. Yoink. Oh, what did I hit? Was that the tree, maybe? Okay. Damn, I'm hungry. I need to get food. Yes, so there's still light. Can beat his ass. This is the shit that you run into when you swap over to dynamic shadows, is you're like, oh shit, there's light leak. Fuck. And you can get around it with, like, you know, reversing the bias sometimes. And then beyond that, like, the ultimate solution is, like, if there's small leaks, you can just place a box or a mesh and then set it as hidden, and it will still cast the shadows. Yeah, let me turn on my highlight selection. I mean, I'll turn the ground shadow casting as well. Why the fuck not? It's fine. One thing to test here is like the reverse bias function. Let's see, do we have everything shadowed in here? As it should be. See, now it's nice. I can actually see the sun coming in. Or I mean, I guess it is the sun. But boy, does it... Okay, who was blowing up my phone? Chill out, big dogs. Let's chill out. Let's not blow up my Twitter. But yeah, doing this kind of shit, it does end up just causing a lot more issues, as obviously this fog looks terrible. I think the sun is going through the mesh incorrectly, which sucks. So it looked correct from the other location, but from here, it was very much not. It was still shoving. I need to get it in the hole, which sounds bad, but I need you to come out of the crag. That's it. That's the only place you're allowed to come out of. Okay? Yeah, it's kind of annoying because, yeah, the fog. I have this set to be shadow casting, and normally that will block out this sort of excess. Oh, never mind. I'm dumb, and I didn't have it set. So, fuck. I mean, I'll shut the fuck up. God damn it. Okay, well, there you go. I just forgot to do that. Okay, never mind. We fixed it. We fixed it. There we go. It is interesting to see that. That dude is making some real nasty noise in my ear. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. Okay, let's turn off the light shafts, because clearly from this angle, the light shafts just strictly are not functioning correctly. They do not come from the designated source. Damn it. Oh, you know what I can do, though? I can copy from things betwixt again. Okay, well, at least we fixed, like, the leak issue. We are not in favor of leak culture in this community. Yeah, that looks a lot better now that we don't have a massive amount of light leaking in. But I'll have to balance the water here a little bit. You are a gem for the Souls community. Well, that's very nice. I think I say goofy things, and I put out mods commonly that are broken in certain areas because of who I am as a person and because of how frail my memory is and lack of quality control. But over time, it works out well. Short term, terrible. Just terrible. I'll be back for you later, big dog. I know there's a guy right here. Okay. I can't see shit, Captain. But that's also meant to be in a certain degree. Now, here I don't have a torch yet. Although man, yeah, that transition's tough. Because it's the same atmosphere. Like, they are the same, saved as the same. But weirdly enough, we get that little flicker. I'll have to talk, because that's actually on the LE mesh, I believe. That wasn't actually on anything else. This is actually on the LE mesh. So I think if I turn down their ambient fog contribution, let's see if that's better. No, it has nothing to do with that. It clearly is just another setting, I guess. Well, hold on. Let's save it and then copy it to the atmosphere, because it's switching between things Betwixt and things Betwixt training. And I have copied them to be exactly the same, which presumably works. Like, that usually works just fine, where we cut out any of these sort of Yeah, there must be something with this area where just for a second it drops it. And it must be the way that it's handling the LE meshes, because that's the lighting engine grass that I've added. Which, yikes. That looks like dog shit. So in the meantime, because I was going to redo the grass anyway, I'm just going to delete that shit. I don't need you that bad, grass. I don't need you that bad. I thought I did. You were once a crutch. And I have now said no to that crutch. Bitch. It's also probably too dark, but don't worry about it. It's fine. Ow, bitch. Okay. Alright. let's settle down. Oh, he thought he had me. Ow. Dude, you guys are kind of cracked. That's crazy. I feel like you're popping off, because I've done this 500 million times, but I feel like you're putting an extra amount of effort into it. And I kind of respect that. I mean, I hate it, and fuck you, but also, not a bad idea. I've also been doing this for most of the fog walls, is I do tend to make them shadow casting, because there's a point light that's attached to them. And I don't think it makes a huge difference at all, but I think it's nice. And you go, aha! Now the fog wall casts shadows. And you go, well, that's cool. That's very nice. Give me that. Yeah, visibility is a little bit of a problem, but that's fine. I'll fix that later. If I fall, that would be really funny. It'd be really good. I'll come back. I'll circle back to this area. Swiftly. Yeah, I know what I gotta do here. I gotta delete me some grass. Because I don't like it. I don't like it anymore. I meant to take this out a long time ago. I just... Nope, not in this map. I think this is in the Majula map. Because you have an issue where you load into the different ones and then it goes, oh my god, there's grass, and it loads it in, and it loads it right in front of the player, which is not what you want. So, wow, is it really not in Majula? There, okay, it's got to be in one of these, right? So let's go back. I have my different brushes set up, and this is the standard grass that gets used in Majula and Forest of the Fallen Giants. So let's try to delete that. I think I have the right. Hey, respect me. Respect me and do what I want. Do what I want. Actually, you know, one thing you can try is I'll click on it to see. Oh, it's HC grass. Oh shit. Okay, I was wrong. This looked, I guess I have tall version of it, so it looked like the Forest of the Fallen Giant grass, but it is not. It is actually HC grass for Huntsman's Copse, which I set up by making a new material, basically. Yeah, boom. The grass is gone. And then this grass is from somewhere else, from a different map, which is fine because I think that loads in at the right time. And this does not. It also doesn't look particularly good once you switch over to the Majula lighting setup because it's obviously way different colored. So you really shouldn't be having like this kind of stuff in here. But I was young, I was naive, and I simply did what I wanted to do. And it didn't work out well. God damn it. This is the problem. This area has 3 different maps that are loaded. Or atmospheres, I guess. And you can tell based on when you try to click on it, does it show up or not? Can you select it? So are we still in betwixt the Majula? We are! Oh shit, okay. Got it, okay, alright. I think we got it now. Huh. You know, there are instances where you're on the right map, you have the right brush, and you're hitting erase, but it actually does not erase them. It's a rarity, though. So what you can do is do it the really slow method, which is select 1, delete, select 2, delete. And it only works if you say it like that. Delete, and then it works. Oh, I have some really small grass here too. Fuck. almost there. Got another bushel. Grass doesn't grow in dark caves. I mean, look, Dark Souls 2 is all about realism. I'll give you that. It has always been about absolute realism. And if grass can't grow in caves, we will not have grass there. This grass, placed by From Software, not allowed. We need to ban it. I say we block it at the shader level. I say we tell From Software to fuck off. We don't like grass in caves. Okay, I'm done. I'm done roasting you. Yeah, grass is fine. I'll put grass wherever I want. So, all right, there you go. Weeps. Boom. I mean, this grass is a little bit too much, but that's because I placed it months ago, and I was hog wild for some grass. Let me tell you. But also, just as a general rule, Survivor, once again, this is another time of like, if you see something in my mod that you don't like, it doesn't mean you have to say it. I guess I'm not asking for that. Yeah, I do think chat rules are probably very nice because I think people can mistake these streams as I would like your feedback. I'm not saying I don't, but I'll ask for it. So if you just want to come out with, well, I think that looks bad. I didn't fucking ask. So, and let's hit erase on this. Nope, that's on a different map. That is on Majula. Nice. Nice. Look at us go. Look at us go. Yeah, let me move a little bit out there. All right. Boom. You know, one thing actually that's really good to place here is the shrub. We like a shrub. Bum, bum, bum. Oh yeah, still on erase. Oops. And we place a little shrub. The shrubs are nice. The shrubs fit. You know, they're actually from Earthen Peak. Yeah. And you can kind of place them in little corners. You know, you kind of mix up the foliage a little bit, you know? You just mix up the foliage a bit. And it looks nice. And we like it. And we like it. Also, yes, I did notice that there is a light leak, but once again, y'all don't have to worry about that. I'm not sure how I can set it up to where it's more of a passive experience for people watching the stream. I don't necessarily need a lot of feedback. I know that probably sounds egotistical, but I don't mean it that way. It's just, I don't know. Like, I got a flow about my work, and if people just keep jumping in with things, it's not... It throws off my flow. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't need other cooks in the kitchen, basically. I know that probably does sound egotistical, but I'll own it, to be honest. All right, so let's hit that. And I guess it kind of reinforces the thing of like, I already really like modding on my own. So, I don't know. I think if I just get too much feedback of other people of like, oh, we'll try this, we'll change that, or maybe about this, or that doesn't... Like, that just makes me want to mod on my own more. Like, if we're being real. Because I don't have to hear that. If that makes any sense. Alright, let's disable that. Oh yeah, I had this set back when I was disabling light maps the incorrect way. Oh yeah, I did it again. That's crazy. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. And usually this is just a issue with delete scene override. Do I have this on this? Oh shit, I do. Fuck. Oh really, I hadn't added that to the shadow map. That's crazy. Yeah, I tried doing tessellation on this, but it unfortunately creates mesh holes, so I just do not do that. Let's put that into this part of the map, and let's see. The reverse bias works, but I just have to make sure it doesn't impact anything else. And okay, I'm gonna run out here and then see, because you just want to make sure it doesn't flip any of the shadows too much on any exterior thing, because then it just looks bad. And we don't want that. I know it might sound surprising, but I don't want it to look bad. Yeah, see, it's just enough to where the reverse bias does not play nice. Just close enough. You need to come up with a new flow. This is not the same environment that you mod in usually, so you need to acknowledge it if you want to have a live audience. You know, Solar, I guess I disagree. Because I am the one who has the stream. So if you would like to run a modding stream, you're free to do that. But it's my stream. Like, I guess that's the thing. I'm the one who sets the rules for what the chat does, right? That's how streaming works. So telling me how I should stream is the quickest way for me to not want to listen to you. Like, I understand feedback, but like, once again, that's almost never a good idea. To just go into a stream and say, I think this is how you should stream. I don't think you're streaming correctly. No. I guess some people just ignore it, but like, I do like to address it, because I'm like, well then no, I'm not going to deal with that. Some people just live with it the entire time they stream. And I'm like, no, I'm going to set a different tone where, no. I've been very clear about what I wanted this to be. Like, did y'all not read the messages? Did you not read the community post? Did you not read what I said, which was, I need to stay on task? So, yes, the flow that I like is the flow that I like. And you guys have been asking to watch it. And so watch it. I know that's not like an ideal setup, but like, go watch something else. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I don't need people telling me how to stream. That's the quickest way I won't stream. So, the people who want to be here are going to be here, and the people who don't want to be here aren't going to be here. I don't feel like I have to babysit that. But I will nip it in the butt, because I don't care for that. I really don't. I don't go to your job and tell you how to do it. I could, but that'd be a bit of a dick move. So, I'm not going to do that. Alright, so let's turn off the tessellation. YouTube being weird, yeah, I can see that. I haven't dropped any frames yet, which is kind of crazy. You love to see it. Yeah, let's disable that as well. I need my parallax back. No shot. How the fuck is that not in the shadow map? That's crazy. What? No fucking shot, man. That's crazy. There's things that I miss that I'm like, how? But how? Sir, how? Yeah, let's disable that as well. I definitely was doing a lot with like the shadow map shit, but I don't actually need to like do that anymore. Because it generally works on the shader wide level. Also, Abraham, all you missed was me admonishing 2 people in the chat who want to backseat modding, which, by the way, fuck no. That's the worst shit I've ever heard. Backseat gaming's bad enough. Backseat fucking modding? No. It's my mod, it's not your mod. I hate to put it that black and white for you, but that's what it is. This is not an instance where, like, I actually want collaborators. I don't. If I want to collaborate with someone, I will. I will. And that's not happening with you. So, Abraham, on the other hand, has been very nice to me. We DM. I would say in a live stream, yeah, I don't like it as much. But Like, DM me and then I'll respond if I want to. This all sounds very dickish, but like, to be honest, like, try streaming and making a mod. Go do that and then come back to me. And then here we go. Okay, so these are still shadow casting. That's nice. I don't like how these rocks look, to be honest. I think they look kind of shitty. And that's my fault. Yeah, backseating. Like, nah. We don't need that. Get out. If you want to backseat by modding, that's no fun. That's no fun for me. It might be fun for you. Ain't fun for me. And I'm at a point now where I just don't care. I just don't care. The streamers I really respect are very clear with their audience, where they go, no. No. Like, this is my space. Like, it is. Like, it's my channel, it's my space. So, if you don't like the rules, if you don't want to abide by them, then you don't have to be here. And I'm okay with that. I'm here to have a chill, cool time. I'm not here to have someone tell me what I should and shouldn't add to my mod. That's not happening. Oh, this is one where you do actually have to... This tree's funny. Yeah, this is... That's not my space, it's YouTube, that's true. No, this tree's funny. This tree is one that is, like, set to be dark in the shadow map. Even though it didn't actually make sense with their baked lighting, it was just accidentally dark. This is one where you actually do have to, like, turn on the baked shadow disable option. Otherwise, it does not recognize the map-wide setting. Why? No idea. Zero clue. But while we're here, we can actually add tessellation, which is nice. This one I will not set at a great distance because honestly I don't think anyone will notice that. So the tessellation can come in pretty late and I think we'll be fine. And we do have a shadow already on it, so that's lit. That's sick. Fuck yeah. Alright. Man, we're making moves today. We're kind of in a we're in a flow, dare I say. We're in the new flow. I really can be an asshole sometimes, and I know that, but also sometimes I think it's warranted. And my mantra for like life, not to be like philosophical, but my life, as I've gotten older, I have learned that you teach people how to treat you. And if you want to be walked all over, that will happen. But if you don't want to be walked all over, then don't. And there are ways to do that. Yeah, I would agree. I think tessellation, hell, I would actually throw in parallax occlusion mapping. I think that visual technique is still actually not used as often as it could be. Lies of P was a good example where they could have. They used it on certain things, but there was a lot that they could have used parallax on. FromSoft themselves just does not fucking use it anymore. And it's a crying shame, because it's funny, because in Elden Ring, their models are still not, like, super geometrically dense, anywhere near next-gen standards. And yet they refuse to use parallax occlusion mapping. Like, it just does not exist. And it could make Elden Ring look a lot better. And I already think Elden Ring looks fucking amazing, don't get me wrong, but, like, if you added parallax to all of Elden Ring for every brick and wall surface and blend surface, you'd get so much more perceived geometric density. But they just don't do it. It's crazy to me. I don't get it. But yeah, tessellation is another one that's just absolutely fantastic. It's such a good thing they came up with. Okay, so we're in Majula. I like that. Let's go talk to our lady. Yeah, ask Body Video about the tree. That's true. He would know. I kind of hope he redoes his Dark Souls 2 videos at some point. Kind of like how he updated his Dark Souls 1 videos. Of course, that's because there was, like, a remaster, but... The remaster, it's not as if it was, like, a game changer in terms of graphics. It certainly ran better. And the normal maps were fantastic, and, like... Hey, I swear to God, I blocked this fucking grass. I don't really like the original, like, vertex shader that they were using on the grass. I found it to be a little too strong, but I understand that's just personal preference. I found it a little too wacky wavy inflatable tube man. I think I said that wrong still, but that's, oh, this is the one. Okay, hold on, chat. This is the one that even if you block it at the shader level here, it still shows up. This is one of those sticky ones that I don't really know why that happens, but it does. Like, it just says, you want to try to delete me? That's not happening. Not a thing. That's just not. And you kind of go, well, okay, it's going to hang out there. Fine. We got one bushel of grass that is just moving violently. Oh, you know what we need to do? Let me log out of this character. Let me go to a character that actually can warp anywhere. Because I could show the method of making a really sick-ass height map in Shader Shaper in Blender. That was a real mouthful there. But it's a lot of fun for me, and perhaps only me. What if I log on to Pussy Slayer 69? Yeah, that'll work. Oh, when I first turned on the stream, I was looking at the text message that I put on the screen for, like, when I'm going on break or whatever the fuck. And it turns out I had it set to say, I'm gonna go get oatmeal up in this bitch. And I was like, why am I the way that I am? Why am I this way? Can't I just be normal? Can't I just be normal? No. No, I cannot. Actually, the black gulch. Let's check. Let's check the floor surface. Let's check the ground surface. Let's see if I've made a height map for that, because I believe I have, but I don't think it's the best one. I don't think it's the best one it could be. Let's check. I absolutely do have a height map on it currently. I don't think it's the highest quality that I have now learned how to make. So I learned this actually yesterday. Normally I was using the albedo texture to make the height maps in Shader Shaper, because it can just take an image and it uses an AI model to try to understand where the depth would be, right? And like what's higher, what's lower. Let's open this up. I mean, honestly, that's a pretty good height map. It's a little grainy, so... Because I could make a new normal map at the same time. However, I have learned that generally that's not a great idea. Even with messing with Shader Shaper, I have not found a good way of really making, like, I don't know, a fantastic normal map. Although I am using the normal map to make a height map, so realistically, that's possible. But anyway, I found sufficiently a good thing is to, by default, if you think the normal map looks fine and it's not dog shit and it's not overly low quality, you keep it. Because they made good normal maps. They did. And the way they saved them was great. They're pretty solid. You know who I'm surprised not to see right now is Trivia. She's probably outliving her best life. Hey, I wanted to test the mod, but somehow the game crashes for me, but only when I get close to Majula. Well, a couple questions first. Do you have the very latest Dark Souls 2 lighting engine from their Discord beta releases LE channel? So not Nexus mods. I put this in the description, but I've seen it overlooked a lot. The one on Nexus is not updated for a long time. So you have to get the most recent version, or it will simply just not work. Or partially work and has crashes. Aside from that, I've seen people install it incorrectly, where they had basically installed Lighting Engine and then skipped the main file and only installed my patch. But I don't think that should be an issue right now. because the current version of my mod that you can download is one big file now. Yes, okay, so Sekiro, that'll solve your issues, yes. I should probably bold that and make it a little bit bigger in my description, because that has been happening. And I do wish the Nexus one was just the most recent all the time, but like that's just not how that is, unfortunately. So, but yes, if you go to the Discord for Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, which I believe is also in the description on Nexus Mods, you'll see the beta releases LE channel. I might have that in the wrong order. And then you'll see the latest Dark Souls 2 beta that's listed there, or Dark Souls 2 beta, or Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine beta. But key thing before you do this, key thing, because this is what's weird about it, and I think I included this in the description too. So when you download that new version of Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine, when you copy those files into your Dark Souls 2 game folder, the only two things you should copy is the dxgi.dll. We love that. We love that file. And then the shader folder. Those two are cool. But the ds2le_atmosphere presets folder, absolutely do not copy that. That will end up overwriting my mod and a large portion of it. And that's just kind of how the system works. But yes, if you just copy the shader in DXGI, you'll be glorious, and it'll work. But I'm gonna look at my description. I'll probably tune that up, because I think I'm not making it clear enough, and that's fair. That part's on me, because I have it written in there in the description and like the steps, but like, is it clear enough? Probably not. And I think that's probably true. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this normal map. We're gonna pop over to our downloads folder, which, yes, there is a picture of Guinevere with her titties out. I assure you, and the feet, but that was related to Twitter, so don't worry. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's totally normal. We all do that. We all take pictures of Guinevere with her shirt off, because of course. So basically, we bring the normal map in here, and then we blank out the blue channel. That's where they store the height map, or that's where you put it. And then we are going to copy the alpha channel into the red channel. And then we're going to blank out the alpha channel, because basically this is going to put it back to a, like, your standard normal map that's saved this way with the red and green channels versus the red channel being in the alpha channel. And that's how they normally save it for the format that DS2 uses. Well, DS2 Scholar. This is what a normal map looks like for DS2 Vanilla. It's just your more classic, like BC1 normal. But anyway, Blender tends to prefer this, and it doesn't import the same way that... It's a whole thing, don't worry about it. Sometimes I over-explain things when I could just say, don't worry about it, this is how this works. So then here we have our shader shaper project that I just keep. And I made a flat plane. I made a just flat fucking box, or flat fucking floor. And then you select it and you hit subdivide, and you subdivide, and you subdivide. I watched the video on how to set this whole thing of like how to use it, because that was the best way to understand how to use this fucking program, right? It's from the guy who made it, and it was very helpful. And the subdividing is what I was not doing initially. And then we are actually going to just pull this goddamn normal map right here. And you don't actually have to do this, but I like to connect the color into the principled BD or BSDF. So they're into some freaky shit. And so now you can see it. And I like to turn the roughness up too, just because I like to see the actual texture. And if the roughness in this is down, it's the whole thing. And then I have it set to DirectX in my shader shaper settings, because we are using a game that uses DirectX normals and not OpenGL. And then, ironically, you actually want to set it to the low quality. And then the model I'm using is the depth anything V2 VITS, which is the commercially available variant of the model. basically don't worry about it, just pick it, it's fine. And we hit generate, and this is just using my default settings, and we will tweak it once it's done calculating, because now my CPU is spinning up, and it's basically doing the work with the AI model and trying to understand what would a height map for this look like. And look at this, look at the depth we get. This is what the parallax will look like, to a point. It doesn't actually 100% look like this when you get it into the actual game, but it's close. And of course right now, these are too tall. So there's like 500 different ways you can tweak these, but essentially I will be like, okay, let me turn off the flatten distortion. I have my normal height a little too high. That's really just for the normal, it's not really for the height map portion. Yeah. Oh, did you finish the DS3 one? Oh, God, no. Oh, do you mean, if you mean DS3 Lighting Engine, I don't make that. I know that's confusing, and I talk about Lighting Engine a lot, and I'm very, like, visible, so I think people just assume that I'm, like, the one making it, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm not that talented. No, I don't have that skill. I have looked into shader coding, and I will learn it one day. Because I feel like I can pretty much learn not anything, but I can learn most things if I just apply myself. The problem is, I sometimes don't. Very often I'm lazy, and I don't want to apply myself. Yeah, so you can see the compressed top option is really nice, because it kind of moves up the floor a little bit. So it's not too, like, insane of a, you know, detail there. The smooth option is also really good for bringing out extra depth, but here I don't need it. And here's the good thing. So the fact that these rocks are so massive is actually fine, because I don't need to perfectly tweak the height map here. I basically, so let's save it. Let's just say, fuck it, I love this height map. This height map is the bee's knees. And then I will go into my other folder, which I think I will actually. You know what? I need to get used to pulling it over to like the other monitor, just in case there was something that I didn't foresee got shown on stream or something. Like, oh fuck. Okay, we're good. And yes, so basically it saves it as displacement.exr for the height map, and then normal.exr for the normal map, which is great. Just use DS2 randomizer. Oh, got it. Oh yeah, for an excuse to play it. Yeah. That checks out. Randomizers are a lot of fun. Big fan. I think the DS1 randomizer is my favorite. Yeah, this looks very similar to the height map I already had, to be honest, so this wasn't really terribly worth doing, but you will notice this happens with the, well, first let's just copy it and dump it back into the normal map. So let's open up the one that's in game, and you can see it actually just cleared up a lot of that compression. I don't know, however I made it and saved it, something fucking happened. But you'll see these areas where it's too dark, and that's going to create a weird looking height map of like parallax effect. So you actually want to you want to crimp that. You want to smash that. Just like people should smash the like button. I'm a good creator. I know to say things like that. So basically I pick a color that's nearby, because this is an aberration. This is something I don't want. And so basically I will pick the color nearby, I will lower the opacity, which actually I already did. And then you can pretty easily just smooth that over. And then if you really want to get freaky with it, you can do a little bit of blurring. And then, aha. You could presumably also do spot healing, but like, I found that's a little mixed bag with like how effective it is. Like, it's still not perfect, but it's good enough that it's not gonna probably show up at game terribly. So let's hit 1024, or not hit that. So we have saved it, and it did make it look a little bit better. But here's what I was talking about, where you don't need to like 100% dial your height map in perfectly, like I do need to do in DS1 because I don't have this option. Here you can actually change the height map scale in the game itself. So you're modifying the height map and how it handles it. So you don't have to do it purely in the height map blind. You can actually do it in game, which is always the better way of making changes, because I can see it directly and I go, oh, okay, I don't like how that looks. And then you can do like a bit of a parallax clamp that will help it look not as dog shitty. Now here's the cool thing, that Dark Souls 2 Lighting Engine also handles the shadowing from the new depth that is added from the parallax effect. It will actually do local shadow casting on that, and it makes it look a lot more realistic. It's not perfect because obviously it's sort of perceived depth, and it's not like full-on real geometry in this sense. So you're not going to get like an absolutely perfect effect, but at a glance when you're running around, it actually looks pretty good, right? Versus having no shadows, right? So that is a quick look at that. Whoop, didn't mean to parry the bonfire. Ooh, also one thing you'll notice about some of the bonfires is they're kind of weird, where this one has the rubble like just floating, and it doesn't really look great. And unfortunately, I think it's connected. What if I block this? Oh shit, that actually worked. Okay. Because I can't move it on my own, but I can block it, because I think that looked pretty shitty. Now, also, here's the problem with doing the parallax, is you are going to run into an issue. Well, actually, no, I take that back. In this case, Bloodborne had more of an issue with that. With its parallax implementation, which has nothing to do with Lighting Engine. It's purely just how they did it. It would move the floor so much that you would be able to notice it. Here, it's actually not making a huge difference with the normal map. This is actually pretty okay. Ooh, now I do notice another normal map here that I have not modified. And I could tell that based on the height map scale I had. That shows I definitely did not. Ooh, it's a good one too. Yeah, this had like a shitty normal map. This is like a shitty height map I had made prior. So just remember this in your mind. This is what the height map originally looked like that I made, based on the albedo using other programs, and it doesn't look very good. It's not terrible, but like there's not actually a lot of contrast, and it's better than nothing, but not by a lot. So now I'll show you how much better it's going to look when I make it from the actual normal map itself. And I think the reason it works so well is that they commonly make the normal maps based on actual geometry, and then they bake it into a normal map, because it's obviously way less intensive to just display a normal map correctly than it is to render the actual geometry, right? That's why we have normal maps. They're very cool, and they're cash money, and everybody likes them. Not really. Most people don't know what they are, and they don't need to. You could go your entire life with not knowing what the fuck a normal map is, and you will be totally fine. That's a peculiar normal map format. Yeah, I mean, so basically what it's doing, I found it peculiar as well because I had been coming from Dark Souls 1 modding, and I was used to there being, they had theirs set up differently. They saved it as BC5 as well. Dark Souls 2, yeah, is the only one I've seen that will basically have their red channel empty, and then they have their green channel and their alpha channel, where normally the alpha channel would be shoved up into the red channel, and then you would set this to be white, and then, well, this also affects it, to be fair, but this is how you would normally come across. This is a basic ass looking, like this is just your normal BC1 normal map. Like realistically you could save it as something else, but yes, they stored their normal red channel information in the alpha channel, and apparently, at least from what trivia has told me, by doing that and saving it as a different format, they're a little bit fatter, but they resolve detail better, I guess. But yeah, it's the only one I've seen like that, because Dark Souls 3 doesn't do it like that. None of the other games do, so, it is what it is. I've gotten used to it, but I've learned with modding all the different games you just have to learn their different methods, because Dark Souls Remastered uses its own normal map format that doesn't match Dark Souls 3, that doesn't match Dark Souls 2, that doesn't match Dark Souls 1 Prepare to Die edition, right? So, yeah, they all have their own method and like how it's set up. And like, for instance, with DS2 Lighting Engine, it's set up to understand that the blue channel is where the height map will be. Just like the albedo map, it had set for the alpha channel, which was prior unused for the most part. You could stuff a roughness map in there because it was just a channel that didn't have anything in it. And so that's kind of how it works with this. You can shove it into the blue channel. Now, interestingly, that's actually how it works for Bloodborne. Bloodborne also uses its blue channel in its normal map or the height map. I had to just figure that out by looking at their normal maps. And then Dark Souls 3 switched it up, where their height map actually gets stored in the alpha channel. Why? No idea. That's just how, yeah, I don't know. They switched over to that. So I had to learn that, and I was like, okay, so let me remember that. So you almost need like a spreadsheet. Here's all the different ways they've been doing things, because and that's fine. Like you just get better at stuff, right? Anywho, let's copy this normal map. I think I already did this and I forgot that I did it. Let's open that. Oh, that's what this was. Well, fuck this. I'm gonna redo it because I forgot what I did. I was yapping too much. So let's move the alpha channel again, again. Wait, am I grabbing the right one? 666. Yes. Yes, I am. There are instances where they'll have a blend surface like this, and they'll actually use the normal map twice. They'll list it twice under each one. Normal 1 and normal 2. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Maybe it's because I guess they still wanted to do a blend, but they wanted to use the same normal map. They actually didn't want to blend normals, so it's just an edge case that you're like, oh shit, okay. So yeah, let's copy our alpha into the red. Then we delete our alpha channel. You're basically just moving shit around. Like, realistically, that's what you're doing. You're just moving bits of data. Okay, so here's the standard normal map. And actually, you could just save it as like BC7. That doesn't fucking matter. And then we close out of this. I think it might actually be the same normal map as the other one. They just had it as a different number. Maybe. Yeah, maybe it's a little different still. I'm curious. It is. It has more rocks. That's cool. So it's like the same normal map. They just added a shitload more rocks to it. All right. Interesting. Okay, let's connect that. Roughness. And then let's see the result. Let's see what it comes out with first. Reverse engineering DS2 on my own back in the day. Well, that sounds crazy. Height map stored in alpha. Yeah, I was wondering how Skyrim handled all of that. It's interesting. Man, that looks great. God, look at that result. Shader Shaper is a fucking game changer. The fact that it can take a normal map, which, I mean, is already pre-set up to like, it's basically handing off the perfect information to Shader Shaper. Like, that's what's so game-changing about this fucking add-on. Like, I can't recommend it enough. I have never made height maps, even like, within a country mile of what this thing can generate. I swear to God. I've tried every other app. This is the only one. And I think it's genuinely because it's using that AI model. And it's doing a lot of other shenanigans. Trust me, the guy who made it is a fucking genius. And do I understand 100% how he did it? Not even close. I hit buttons and I see what happens. But like, yeah, this shit is fucking awesome. But that's the secret. Feed it with normal maps. Don't feed it with albedo maps. Unless you don't have a normal to feed it to, then that's fine. But that was the big game changer for me, is because I could still get good results with the albedo map. Don't get me wrong, you could. But feeding it the normal map is like giving it catnip. This thing fucking loves normals. It eats them up. Now, technically, it's actually making a new normal at the same time. I just don't use it. But you can see, if I click on this, this is the normal map it's generating. And then here's the height map. They let you see a preview of it. Yes, it also tiles very well. And so I personally have not really been messing a lot with the seam smoothing and distance. I haven't really had much issue with that. I've been able to essentially, well, I guess I had the seam smooth micro details, but like, I don't know, it's been fine. But yeah, I haven't had a real, it seems to understand by default, and then in game it's fine. So I kind of just don't ask questions and I go, okay, you got it. You call it, big dog. So let's open up the new displacement. And this is great. That looks great. I gotta fix a little thing up here, but that's fine. I don't mind that. A little bit of manual work never hurt a modder. So let's go back to our displacement. Copy that bad boy. And then, oh, this is a good example. So here's the old height map that I was trying to make. I almost got to the point where I just started making them in paint.net because you could modify levels. Then I started making them in Photoshop, and it was obviously a better experience, and I had way more control. But you could make pretty decent height maps that way. And I would also just start drawing around, like tracing, and you could make some decent height maps that way. But there was no way I was getting as close to what this thing can generate. Because this, me being able to like try to understand that and make that height map, no thanks. That shit's gonna take way too long. So yeah, shout out to Abraham Link, who DM'd me and said, hey, check this shit out. And I went, oh my god, this is the best thing I've since sliced bread. This is amazing. And I know it's such like a niche fucking thing, but it's a game changer, dude. And you say, and then, so interestingly, what I found in Lighting Engine is that, so at first I was trying to save it as like its original normal format, which I believe for these is like BC3 normal version. And that's fine or whatever, but weirdly Lighting Engine, well, not weirdly, but Lighting Engine goes, dude, we just love BC7. If we can be for real, I just love BC7. BC7's great. And so if you feed it BC7 normals, it loves it. So that's the other thing. I was like, oh shit, okay. That makes it easier. I'll just fucking save it as BC7. I don't. Also, you know what's really annoying about working on DS3 and Bloodborne is that their albedos are all sRGB. And it's so fucking annoying. I get it, like I get it, but you know that I have to alter every time I export from Photoshop. I have to make sure that the checkbox for sRGB is checked when I'm working on those two fucking games. And I forget. And then it loads in game and it looks like shit. And then when I work on a normal map, oh shit, well now I can't do that. I have to uncheck the sRGB. Oh, and now I'm working on a row. You know, it's a whole thing where I'm like, god damn it. And here it's all just linear. And that's just nice, you know? It's just nice. Let's see what we got. This doesn't usually work well on cave walls, but let's see. No, that's pretty good. Okay, now let's go here and check out this normal map. I was literally doing this for like 10 hours yesterday. Well, I don't know about 10 hours. It was a lot. Yeah, okay. So this is an example of a height map that I had made with Shader Shaper using the albedos. I just couldn't dial it in. I couldn't get the result I really wanted, you know? I was close. I could feel it, but I couldn't do it. So if we copy that and do our same thing again, presumably, could I set up a chainer automated thing to like drop in the normal map and then do the channel switches? Yes, 1000% I could. But honestly, it doesn't take that long. And that, I think, is overthinking it. Realistically, this takes like 2 seconds, and I have the normal map that I want. I think a lot of times we can overcomplicate things. And Chainer is fantastic, but this is one where I'm like, I don't need to automate that. I can just save this shit, okay? And so then here we go. We're already, boom, done. Like if I speed ran this, I get the world record for making a height map. Probably not. World record for making a fantastic height map. Yes. So yeah, let's see how this comes out. I think it's gonna be pretty great. Yeah, that's pretty good. This one I knew wasn't going to have as much height, but we you know, look, we're not done configuring it. Thanks for letting us hang out. Sorry for disturbing your space earlier. Just trying to point out what others did and suggested for better live stream feedbacks. Have a good one, server. You as well. I get where you were coming from, but I also, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't tend to give too much feedback to other or to streamers in general. I don't know, but that's maybe it's just a personal preference thing. I've just never, because like, I don't know. I don't think there is a handbook for streaming, and I think it depends on the person. Yeah, you're good, Solar. It's not a big deal. I went off on a tangent. But all right. We got some little crevices here. This isn't bad. Let's see how this looks in game. I'm a little curious. So we did save it. Let me open up the displacement. Yeah, you can see how this was very much in the same vein as the other one I made. It's just better. Not a ton better, to be fair. It's not like a game changer in this sense, but it's definitely a lot less. Oh man, I really didn't mean to hit close all. Oops. Oopsie. Didn't mean to do that. Did not mean to do that. So yeah, let me grab the displacement and we will hit. Yeah, it's just a lot cleaner in this instance, and that is nice. Now let's grab our color nearby and let's get rid of this, because this is something I was struggling with, where I was having the, you know, these artifacts come up a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, let me mess with all the sliders, and so I can perfectly not have that happen. And I once again over-engineered it, where I really, all I had to do was go in Photoshop and just, I could just fix it in 2 seconds. Yoink! It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. And then let's save it. Save it. And then we go here. And then let's see how our height map. Ooh, it's actually pretty good. Usually when some of these height maps for cave walls does not look great. But here, I actually think it works quite well. I think I'll take a picture. Or screenshot. I'm talking like I'm in the 1920s. I'm gonna take an old-timey photograph. No, I'm gonna take a fucking screenshot. Maybe not in the Hexer set. I've been taking screenshots lately with that. The old reliable is the Looking Glass set, because I think it's like one of the coolest sets that they've ever made. It is a crime. Let me tell you, it is a crime that this set did not return for Dark Souls 3. I get that it maybe would have stood out like a sore thumb, but dude, it is awesome. And it should have been in Dark Souls 3. You brought back the Rune set, the Ruin, which I like, but not the Looking Glass set? Come on. What are we doing? Yeah, the bonfires definitely float in this game pretty often. It's kind of weird looking, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, look at the strong cast shadow. You love to see it. You know, this rock has always been hilarious to me. I kind of don't. It reminds me of, I live in the Midwest, right? And a lot of the houses, like, you'll go in the basement, and because I used to live in this house where you go in the basement and it's like a normal basement looking, right? And it's got a ceiling and walls. I'm describing a fucking room. But there was this weird box that just jutted out, and it turns out it was for HVAC. They couldn't like organize it to where you didn't need to have it like jut out, and so there's this fucking box. It's a cube that is just jutting out of the ceiling and the wall, right? And that's what this rock feels like to me. It just feels weird. I don't know. It has collision on it as well, which is fine. But just as a fun thing to see, you can actually block it. And the problem is you're actually still blocked by the collision, but I don't know. I find it kind of weird looking. I don't know. I don't think it looks amazing, but it's fine. I think it could be a little bit higher to where the character could walk under it, but it's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. I forgive Tanamura. He also has nothing to be sorry for. He's the greatest. I think he deserves more respect. I will say that. I don't think he gets nearly as much respect as he deserves. I think he plays second fiddle to Miyazaki. Understandably, because Miyazaki is Miyazaki, but he is a gigantic reason why we have the games that we have. But I don't think he's necessarily treated like that. But maybe one day. You know, because I think most people would be really surprised to know that he was the co-director on Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. Like, I think most people would be like, oh shit, no way. I thought that was just Miyazaki. It's like, no, he was the co-director. And they're like, oh shit, okay. Damn, he's kind of sick. And I would say yes, Tanamura is sick. Shibuya, well, we don't talk about Shibuya as much. I think he had a lot of quirky ideas, and those are still in Dark Souls 2 Scholars. So, you know, yeah, Tanamura, that's a cool dude. Also, he did that absolutely iconic IGN interview. You know, when they were showing off the beta footage. Oh, I do have. I think Tanamura fucking crushed it. I think he fucking crushed it. And perhaps that's because I'm, you know, of the opinion that Dark Souls 2 fucking rocks. And yes, there's flawed parts of it that are part of a tough development cycle and a lot of stuff, but overall, I think he fucking rushed it out of the park. Because I believe the DLCs were basically just him directing, right? From what I have seen and heard and remember, he was the director of the DLCs. And yeah, I think they're fucking awesome. So like, I think that the DLCs to me have always been like the preview, or that is what every Dark Souls 2 area could have been if it was given the time and it had a singular vision from Tanamura and not a split vision, which I still think ended up really fascinating and fantastic. Yeah, it fucking rocks while I'm standing next to rocks. Yeah, oops. Shit. You're so right. Also, you know, one thing that I have found interesting is that, so the shadows that are cast from the torch itself only seem to interact with the objects that were already set to be shadow casting by the game, not the ones that you purposefully add in the Dark Souls 2 lighting engine method of like saying, like for instance here, this boulder is actually set to have local shadows, but it is not casting a shadow from the torch. So for whatever reason, that's just a difference where it doesn't compute. I don't know why. That's definitely something that I'm assuming it's quite much more complex than I'm making it, but like, yeah, I would wish that the torch would just yeah, that's true. I can't remember on this boulder if I remember turning on the shadows from scene option. Yeah, that didn't work either. Damn, that's weird. Let me get close to it. There's just some that they just don't want to do it, you know? Yeah. And even if you like just delete everything. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know? And you just kind of live with it, and you go, yeah, all right. I'm not sure what that is, but it definitely seems like something that shouldn't, you know, have to be a huge issue, but eh. Anyway, yeah, let me take a screenshot. Let me take a little. Maybe not with the boulder. I don't like the boulder. I'm anti-boulder. I have an anti-boulder agenda. Oh yeah, I gotta get the spikes from the crown of Jesus Christ, basically. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, or whatever his official government name is. Did he have a government name? We don't need to get into that. Okay, so I did save that. Well, anywho, thank you for turning up to the stream. I streamed for about 3 hours, which for me is pretty good. Maybe over time it'll be longer, it'll be shorter. I think this next one I'll do a little bit more. Here I figured out things betwixt though, and the shadows there, and that's actually pretty huge. It's been something I've been dabbling with, where like I mess around with it for a little bit and I go, fuck, I don't know, and then I fuck off and I go somewhere else. So to be able to figure that out is nice, and thank you Abraham Link for the tips and little tricks. That was nice, and we did figure it out. We got it, and it's cool. Yeah, I will be back. I'm not sure if I'll set like a schedule. I should though. I do know that I should. I think my thinking was probably like spacing them out, so it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So then I have little days in between where I can like get a lot of work done or not talk to a single soul, you know, to balance my social interaction, you know. But this will be moved into the live tab, I believe. So it's not going to be shoved in front of the subscribers. I'm not entirely sure how they feel about that. Maybe I do want them to see it so they watch it, right? I don't know. I'm not really, yeah. I haven't quite figured that one out. I don't think YouTube itself has quite figured out how to handle live streaming and then being shoved into the fucking like feed for people, you know? Because I wouldn't want people to unsubscribe because they're seeing stream notifications or the fucking like VODs. I don't know. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to end the broadcast, and just keep an eye on Twitter, Blue Sky. Oh, you know what I did? Dude, I just remembered. I didn't tell anyone on Twitter that I was live. I didn't tell anyone on social media that I was live. Oh my god. Well, anyway, whoever did turn up, that's great. That's awesome. Next time I'll remember to tell people. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.